Let's go. What is going on, everybody? This is Third Shot Gaming. If you are joining from Kick, Twitch, or YouTube, welcome. Thanks for checking out the stream. We're going to be doing a RimWorld tonight for a little bit. I haven't played this game in probably about half a year, but we've got over 800 hours in the game. And let's see, I mean, I've got a couple over here, a couple old games. Let's see when the last time we played them was. Yeah, July of 24 and then March of last year. So actually it's been like a year since I've played this game. Wow. I mean, yeah, well, that makes sense because I was finishing up school last summer and everything, and then was in an internship and all that stuff, so I've been pretty busy. So today we're going to start a new game. It's been way too long. I love this game, and I'm going to show you guys how I like to play my games, since I've beat the game well, I guess beat the game where you see like the end credits and all that stuff after you fly the ship off the planet. I'm playing purely RimWorld original game, no mods. Sorry, I just moved my mic back there so it's not too loud. No mods and no DLCs, unfortunately. I'll eventually get those because I do love this game so much that I'd love to play those and add them to it. But for now, we're just going to be playing the basic vanilla RimWorld. I'm going to start off, I'm going to play the classic scenario. This is like classic RimWorld right here. This Crashland. So I've actually played Crashland. I think I've played The Rich Explorer. I don't think I've played Lost Tribe or Naked Brutality. But we are going to play Crashlanded because that is classic RimWorld. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it, I think this says, but it's still dangerous, experience strategy on their first game of RimWorld. So we're going to do this one because it kind of makes it a little more manageable. And we are also, and then yeah, so these, you change these as well. Just so you know, like these are your storytellers. So if you didn't know how to play, if you're going in here like, oh, I don't know what's going on, who are these? Are these just pictures? No, you can actually, so this is standard mode right here, classic with the increasing. This is chillax, she gives you a little bit more time. And then this dude's random, so you can have aggressive attacks early on, you could have low attacks mid-game. It's just random. So what I like to do is I'm going to pick, I think a good balance for my first game in a year is going to be Phoebe Chillax mixed with adventure story. That means there's going to be a little bit more room to build, not as much as a community builder, but once you get into the later games, it'll still be pretty similar to the classic. But the early game, it'll allow me to like kind of remember what I'm doing and get used to this again. So we're going to do Phoebe Chillax on adventure story, and then the last thing you're going to select here for the to get into the next part of the selection process is going to be either commitment mode and reload anytime mode. I always choose reload anytime mode because I want to play the game for fun and not frustration. If you're really into like tougher, you know, you lose everything when you die, when everyone dies type situation, you can do commitment mode. So there's the difference between that. If you want to pause it, you can read that later on at any point. But losing is fun, designed to be unfair with huge threats. So yeah, there's lots of different modes between these three storytellers and all these different community modes and custom, and then these. You can really make RimWorld to be kind of any type of game that you want. Oh yeah, I forgot to choose reload anytime. So Phoebe Chillax, adventure story, and reload anytime is what we're going to do for our first game back after a year of not playing this game. We're just going to try this seed for now, and I'll explain what I'm personally looking for when I play this this game. So everything we're just gonna keep it standard, normal. We'll just do 30%. I mean, if you want to look for less seeds, you could do 100% coverage. That gives you more globe coverage to travel in the game if you're looking for super long game and stuff like that. It just really depends on what you're looking for. We'll go with 30% right now just to show a standard game, because honestly the standard games are huge. And I mean, and I'm running like you don't need great graphics card or anything like that, but you can get some pretty big games on like standard equipment or high-end equipment. Doesn't matter what you're doing. This just changed. I'll just show you real quick. So this is 30%. I'll just like make it easy and show how it looks, what global coverage actually means. So as you see, there's the land. The rest of this is just ocean. So if you go back, if you increase this to 50% and you generate it. Mason, my cat's over here looking at me. So you see it takes a little longer to generate, but then it does 50% of the global coverage. So which gives you, in general, like just more places in the game to travel to. My cat's behind my computer and it's scaring the crap out of me. Please move it along, sweetie. Please go. Go. Come on. Okay. So, as you see, that's 50%, and then if you want 100%, and this really, see, and then it says warning, it could take a long time to generate an entire planet. So it even tells you that it'll take longer. And honestly, I've never played any more than 30%. And I've played some long games in this game. I've played some very long games. So you see, it's still generating. And the only point is, like, there's more planet coverage for you to either choose your starting location from, or for if you're thinking about in the game traveling just a bunch with the space pods and all the other stuff, or even in some of the DLCs, then yeah, you can choose some of these. But I always just go 30%. It generates enough. And what I look for is so that you have these different areas. You have, this is just going to be a sheet of ice, which is sea ice. Then I think, does this come up as ocean? It comes up as ocean down here. Terrain information tab is great. Planet, I don't really use much because it just tells you that basic information. But terrain tab tells you some stuff that you'll want to see here. I'll show you in a second. So what I've got is, well, not what I've got. So what we have here in this game is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colored areas, not including the ice. This brown, you'll see it's like a medium brown. I'd say this is like a reddish brown, and this is like a light brown, and this is like a brown. We'll just go with that for now. This brown is going to be tundra, so your terrain's going to be, movement difficulty is going to be that. You'll find different areas in here when you zoom in. These are impassable mountains. These are mountains. The smaller, this should be like small hills maybe. This should be maybe a large hills. So you'll see, and then you'll have mountainous. That's going to dictate how much rock coverage and how many like caves and how much mining you'll end up doing in the game. And these areas are just, they're impassable. So, and you'll see while we're zoomed in here, you got this, there's a dirt road here, which you could see right here now. This is a tundra, but this is like a friendly, I'm trying to find the thing where it says it. Oh no, you'll see it in the game, but it'll show you like things this place will trade. So this is what they'll buy. So if you have a game plan already in your head and you've played this game before, then you can go through this and do all that stuff. Let's see. I just realized my lights are not on the back. Let me turn those on real quick. Then I can explain more stuff with some better lighting. Okay, that looks a little better, I think. Alright. So, you have these different areas, these different tribes and stuff. These guys with the skull and crossbones, I mean, it should be pretty obvious. They're hostile. That's what we're looking for. So they're a minus 80 hostile, which means they're not super friendly with you. I think these people will trade with you. Minus 100 hostile, they'll attack you for sure. These are minus 80s, and then some of these people are neutral. And this is what determines it. This is just how it works with these different locations. Like the purple buildings are neutral, yellow's neutral, I think, and then the blue is minus 80, green is minus 80, yellow neutral, yeah, then the red are minus 100, red and the pink. So that'll be where your friendlies and enemies are located, and that's who you're going to end up trading with and stuff like that in the game. Because you'll definitely need to trade mid to late game for some different things, which you'll see in the game if you never played it. If you played the game, you already know. So you have the tundra, the boreal forest, and these all look visibly different when you're playing. Like graphically, the game will look different. The areas will play different as far as the wildlife, the flora and the fauna, and the weather, and the amount of the hunting that you'll do, and the species, and the things that you'll pick up, and how attacks will work, and how your areas will be built, and all that stuff. Anyways, and poisonous and dangerous environments. So you have your boreal forest in the dark green. This medium green, which I like to consider this, and then you'll have this brighter green and this darker green, but this medium green here is the area I'd say for beginners and for people like I haven't played in a year that I'm going to go ahead and play in here. It is the temperate forest. It's going to be probably the easiest. I'd say this is the best starting area for new players and people that just want to have fun. These areas are more than playable for sure, like you'll have no problem, but this is just going to be easier with the weather and all that stuff, and how berries are available and rain and stuff like that. And what I like to do personally is, so you can just go here on the flatlands. There's going to be like no mountains and stuff like that. You'll have marble and slate like on the ground. I like large hills is one of my favorites. Or if you want caves, which caves offer interesting, different, unique. I don't want to get into it if you've never played the game, but caves are different. Caves make the game different. Let's see if we can find something with caves here. Caves are exclusively in mountainous areas. So you'll see what I'm looking for is these large clumps, these larger clumps, and mountainous areas will also be next to these impassable areas. And we'll see somewhere in here it'll say like caves, and it'll say yes. We just gotta find it. There's caves in let's see, am I looking for it somewhere? There's large, maybe it's up here and I'm missing it because I'm looking in the wrong area. Okay, there it goes. We found one. So it says features, it'll say caves. Caves can be dangerous. I'll just put that out there. So if you don't want to deal with like some potential extra danger, then maybe not go caves. I like I said, since it's been a year since I played, I'm going to go temperate forest, and I'm going to try find one of these large hills area, which are going to be like the medium size one. These small ones are going to be the small hills, large hills, big ones will be mountainous, and this will be impassable. And so I'm going to look for large hills. The next thing I'm going to look for is I would like to, so typically the higher up, or there's a certain area somewhere where you will get rainfall. Let's see if we can find it. It'll be a growing period and it'll say like year round. There it is. So you'll see this growing period here. It says year round. I like to find growing periods that say year round. It looks like they're usually in the middle, I guess. And these are random based on the generated seed that you generate. I just tried the first one for now. So what I'm looking for is large hills, and then I want to find a year round. So we found that. However, it doesn't have the stone types that I prefer. So the stone types, I think, is great for beginners or anyone playing. That are some of the best stone types in the game as far as for defense, for building, and for crafting arts and stuff for selling and stuff like that would be. So just a quick rundown of how this works. See how it says limestone, marble, and sandstone? See how limestone is capitalized and marble and sandstone are lowercase? I think that now this is just, I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but also I think the first one on the list is usually in greater quantities than the other one. So you'll see, like, you'll probably see a ton of marble and a ton of sandstone, but I think in general you'll see more limestone than either of those. I think that's how it works. So typically with that in mind, what I like to do is I like to find large hills with year-round, and I like to find some with granite as the first one and marble as the second one, because granite is the best for defensive structures. I think it looks awesome, and it doesn't take a ton of energy to use to build. Like, it's pretty decent. It takes a decent amount, but you'll see between everyone. So you see we got granite as the first one, but we're in mountainous. We need to find large hills with granite, and then if I have a third one, I'm gonna like it to be slate. So this one's not bad. This one's marble and granite. Now usually I like to have granite first, but I would do something like this. So we're gonna remember this place right here, and we're gonna look and see. Okay, looks like we have rivers. So these are rivers and these are roads, and this is impassable. So if we're going to want to trade with people, let's say we're going to want to trade with these people back here. Yeah, we can't. We're going to end up probably going up here on this road, coming down, doing that. You can check and see by using these right here, enter planning mode, and then you right click there, and then right click the destination, and it'll actually show you your route that you're going to take. And as you see, since this is all impassable, it's going to take you there, and it's going to take you 6.6 days to get there. I like to try to get into places where the people I'm trading with are within a 3-day journey, because 3-day journeys are nice. They're easy. You can make you can make it with low food. You can make it with like 1 or 2 people, and if you get animals and stuff like that can haul stuff, you actually end up, like, it's quick. You can get a lot of resources really quick. Let's just put it that way. So I'm probably gonna pass on that place. However, let's see. Neutral. So these are the neutral. Those are gonna be the ones that you're gonna be able to trade with quicker than these, because you have to build up trust with them. And these individuals are gonna want to attack you, obviously, because they're 100 hostile. Let's see. Let's go back. Let's see if we can find something over. I might even do another regeneration. Large hills year round. So yeah, we're still in that like middle belt where it's going to be year round. Let's see. We're looking for granite, marble, limestone, or not limestone, slate. I like how slate looks. marble, granite, slate, something like that, but that's in a mountainous. I mean, we could do mountainous. If it doesn't have caves, I'll do I mean, I would do mountainous with caves anyways, but I'm gonna prefer, since like I said, it's been a while. I'm gonna prefer to go large hills. I'm not even clicking large hills anymore. See, sometimes the mountain ones look like large hills because they're like medium sized. That's a small hills with granite marble, but now we're out of that region. See, if you go too far south or too far north, you get out of that region. Now we're back into that. This is a very like impassable area. So what I'm gonna do is, since I'm not a big fan of that seed, and this is a good thing to show, you can do this. You can just randomize the seed if you don't like it. If you don't like where you go, you randomize the seed. I'm keeping everything 30% and everything normal. I'm not getting rid of the insects or the mechanoids or the pirates or anything like that. These are pretty much going to be all your enemies in the game. So we'll randomize the seed again, and because we want to, we're looking, we're like, oh wow, there's not much land coverage of temperate forest, and there's a lot of hostiles around here. Go back, randomize it, generate another one. And this is kind of the process for me of like finding a game that I know is going to be fun, and what would I would consider a good game for a beginner or a good game for you back that after a while. So we know blue and yellow, or not blue and yellow, yellow and purple, which are actually complementary colors. It's easy to remember that. So these guys are going to be your friendly, quick to trade, and then these guys, green and blue, are going to be your next to trade after you establish something with them, like some whatever it's called, rapport. So we're at Temperate Swamp. I'm going crazy over here. Temperate Swamp's another one, yeah, you can definitely get into. I don't think there's any temperate forest. Bowtie. You'll see they have these random names. If you're watching now, you're probably like, wow, this game looks boring. All he's doing is temperate rainforest. That's what we're looking for, sorry. This one's terrible with it. But you'll be like, oh, this guy's taking forever just to get in the game. But I mean, sometimes this is what it takes to get into some game that you know you're going to be able to play long term and fun. Even though I've got a ton of hours in it, I could probably just go back. Carrot, I like the name of that one. Let's see what we got. And we could even do 50% on the map, but 30% is just easy. And you can see how quick it is. I could just look quick and be like, okay, this is the temperate forest. This is the shade of green that I'm looking for. And here's a nice chunk of people. And you can honestly, you don't need year-round rainfall. You could go with any of these over 1,000 and still be more than enough fine. So we might even do that, just to move the game on. Oh, and another thing, you can't. Let's say, oh yeah, I want to go here. It'll tell you can't, since this location is within 4 tiles of another faction base. They'll feel like you're encroaching on their land, and relation will worsen. This is something you do not want to do. So remember to always think about that when you're looking at areas. Like you for sure don't want to settle over there near those people, because it's going to ruin your relations with them. Now here we got a ancient asphalt road, which is great. We'd be able to get to these. These are the -80s. These are the zeros. -80s. So not a ton of trade going on this setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to try Norman. Got some yellows and purples around this area. Oh, this could be good. We got a ton of rainfall. 1865. I mean, that's pretty aggressive rainfall. Like, when does it actually just become year-round? Growing period. When you get about 1900 and... Well, I guess it doesn't depend on the rainfall. It just depends on where you're located. But anywhere, somewhere around here might not be terrible. Because in that year-round growing period, I mean, yeah, ideally, I really want to get a year-round growing period. So we're just gonna keep looking for some better options. We're gonna want to get year-round, and we're gonna want to get good trade. I don't think we're gonna find that on this one. This is what 800 hours of play will get you. You'll see how quick I'll be able to analyze, like, if it's worth going to or not. But you can, I mean, I'm being a little extra picky. You can really play whatever map area you want. I just want this to be more of an ideal scenario game than not, because I'm going to be live streaming it and give me options to do a lot more stuff. So what I saw here is just a chunk of mountains. See, these guys are here. And really, like, if you're close to even just like 2 of these people, you can get some pretty good trade. But I really need to be close to the 2 different factions. Go there, and then I can go there and there. I think it would be easier from this outside. You have year-round growing down here. You're away from stuff and you're near some roads. So these might not be bad little area to look for some stuff. Now if I can just find that granite, marble, slate, marble, granite. Marble, granite, large hills, decent elevation. You got a river near you, you got road. So let's go ahead and check the travel time to here. 3.8 days. I'll be more than fine with that. Like I said, 3 days, 4 days, something like that. That's fine. Oh yeah, whoops. You gotta clear. You can do it a lot quicker than that. Somewhere over here. That would take 1 day. Or what? Now I gotta find it again. It was over here, I think, somewhere. Marble and granite. But I could still try to see if I could, since we already know this one right here is a decent one. I could look around the area and try to find. Now that's going to be in the timber rainforest, so I don't want that. We could see if we find better layout of our stone. And also you see, like, if we want slate, we can literally just go to the next tile over. You can travel from here to here. It would take you a part of a day. So if you're looking for some of those other materials and you're like, dang, I'll never get any slate, you could find them there. You could go set up another camp here, mine a bunch of slate, and bring it back. It's going to be a pain in the butt because it weighs a lot. But that's just, that's how it goes. That's how it could be. So we'll clear that. So we're just going to see if we can, real quick, since we know that exists, we're going to try to find that perfect spot. That large hills, granite, marble, slate. and with year round. So once we get out of the year round, like right there, up here, we're gonna stop looking. So since we have marble and granite here, and large hills, that should give us enough. Let's see, is there anything down here? My thing with this is, like I was saying earlier, I think the order, and it seems like it does when you play the game, the order of the stone is like increasing to decreasing. So granite is going to be what we're going to use the most of. So we'll just go ahead and play this one year round. Quite a bit of rain, quite a bit of berries, marble and granite. We'll have enough. We should have more than enough, especially with the mining situation. We can mine it, and let's just look around us and see what we have around us. In case we need to get some and bring it back on the horse or ship it back transport pod style or whatever we end up doing. I got a big chunk of granite here. And we can even do small hills, but I think large hills is a nice balance of areas to mine out of the mountains and grass area to grow. So we're doing year round, temperate forest, large hills. Movement difficulty's fine. That's just how it is with the different areas. Like you'll see small hills is going to be different, and then mountainous is going to be different, and then impassable is obviously impassable. So we're doing large hills, marble granite, year round, good average temperature, temperate forest, and we are 1.5 days from them, 5.5 days if you include them. Now where are we at? 6.3 days, which is still not the worst. 7.4 days, not bad. These are all doable, but this one right here being 1.5 days and this one right here being just over 3 days away are probably going to be the ones that we're going to hit, and this one for sure. But let's see, what is that? 2.2? Yeah, that actually will probably be the one we hit. So 2.2 and 1.5, and then once we build up our relationships with these people, we'll be able to go there, we'll be able to go there, and we'll be able to go there in 3 days. Be able to hit that spot 3 days. So we have a lot of great options for trade here. And this one being the farthest is not too bad. Oh yeah, we also have this one down here, 2 days. So, and then you'll see we'll open up more of these areas with the roads and with animals and stuff like that. We'll be able to hit a lot of these places pretty nicely. Wow. That's closer than I expected. 3.2 days. Oh yeah, this is great. So I think this is a perfect location for not having played in a while. So we're going to go ahead and select this as our location. And just in case you're wondering, this is Seed Goblin with 30% coverage. I mean, you can find it next to this lagoon. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. And this is, I think sometimes you'll get a different 30% of the planet, so you might have to like 30% keep regenerating it, but I'm pretty sure at some point you'll get this 30% of this seed. And if you think this is also a good area for you to start, then go for it. But you see right here, big map, zoom in, this little area right here. Okay, large hills, marble granite, let's go. Now we're selecting our people. So with this is definitely where it gets a lot more interesting and where you could spend a lot of time. I've spent like 30 minutes to an hour sometimes before selecting different people just to try to get the right build. Like I said, if you're new to watching this, I have over 800 hours in RimWorld Vanilla, and I've beaten it a few times. And it's been about a year since I've played, but I'm just going over my strategy and all that stuff of how I start games. So if people are brand new to this game, they can watch this, and it's like a full tutorial from like beginning to wherever point they get. that'll help them out a good bit. So the left behind people and the selected people. Selected people right here are going to be the 3 individuals that you start with and that you play with in the game until you continue with them or they die. You'll see how that works later on. These individuals, I believe they matter to some extent. Even though you don't play with them, I think they might end up interacting with you potentially in the game via so the whole deal is it's like a crash starship or something like that, and these people were left behind. Well, sometimes pods and stuff like that land, and sometimes people come in from different settlements. I'm not 100% sure, and I think I just saw this somewhere, but I think they might have something to do with that. So typically what I like to do is I like to find people that are not ridiculous and that are not incapable of dumb labor is the worst thing. So what I'll do is, since these people don't matter too much and I don't want psychopaths, I'll just pick people like this. Okay, fast walker, they don't have any health problems, boom. I'm not looking at their traits right now because they're not extremely important to me. These people are going to be a little bit different. So we're just going to go through here. Obviously, we don't want you have a crack addiction and you can't haul anything or mine and you're jealous of people. No, we don't want you. Too smart is actually a problem sometimes, I feel like, because their mental break threshold is pretty intense and they often have tantrums and stuff like that. Body modders, teetotalers, that's fine, but I hate the incapable of dumb labor, because there's a lot of dumb labor that needs to be done, and you'll get animals eventually that could do some of it, but it's always great to have people that can do dumb labor, even though they're not your people. You see, you got underground, they're very neurotic and gay. That's what I'm worried about right here is the nervous thing. I don't care if they live underground and love their same sex all day. It doesn't matter to me, but I'm worried about that. Staggeringly ugly. You see, I could get through these quick. I was just wanting to explain some of them. Steadfast is not bad. You have a better mental breakthrough, but they're not great at talking to people. They can't be wardens. That's not a terrible thing. We'll keep them, just use them, whatever, that's fine. So they're essentially gonna break. We don't want that. Underground and they're incapable of artistic, fine. I don't care if they're incapable of artistic. These are people that don't really matter, so we're just trying to get through them. Quick sleeper, and they got a couple old gunshot wounds in their shoulder and leg, which eventually that could change. But like I said, these people aren't going to be in the game. You barely. Perfect. All right. Now, to the people that you're actually going to control. These are the people that matter the most. This is between picking the location and picking these 3 people. That's what's going to set your early game up for either having you have kind of an easier start or a really difficult start. So the main thing to look out here is you're going to want to look at the traits, what they're incapable of. This fire symbol, 1 fire, means this is their learning speed. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see my hand, but the 1 flame is the learning speed is 100%. You'll see the 2 flames is 150%. And you're like, oh, well, what about the no flames? That's going to be at, you'll see right there, 35%. So at 35% is the learn rate. They will learn how to take care of patients. However, they will learn how to do animals and plants at 150% that rate. This is extremely important when you're picking your people to start with in this game. You're going to want to make sure that you find their core skills that you need for the 3 people that I like to split up, and you're going to want to make sure that they at least have one of these flames next to them, because if all of your people, let's say this is your construction person, because you're going to want someone early game that's kind of mainly a construction person, someone that can do plants, animals maybe, just depending on what you're doing. I like to have medical. Intellectual for me is huge because that's going to be how you do research, which is a huge part of the game. But for me, I like to find, because you start off with 2 guns and a knife, so I like to find two people that are somewhat decent at shooting, and one person that's decent at melee. And between them, I like to find a person that's great at construction. They don't have to be great. I mean, they could have this, or they can have the 150 learning speed. I like to find someone that's going to be able to cook, mine. Cooking is somewhat important because I guess you get sick less and stuff like that from incompetent cooks. You get sick more. And plants and animals. Plants are really important. That's the higher level plants, or the higher the level the plants are, the higher level plants you can plant. So you can get there's certain levels for like t- this plant called heal root, for example, which is going to be like how you make medic kits or how you heal yourself after a fight. Animals is another decent one to have because early on you can get animals and they are great for trade. They are great for breeding and slaughtering and filling up your freezers with meat so you don't have to hunt. So I always like to have animals and plants on someone. This person doesn't look bad, but the main issue here is that they're incapable of violent. If otherwise, like the zero cooking and mining kind of, I'm not a fan of, but they're great at plants and animals. And social is good too because that's how that the social people are going to be how you build relationships with those negative and hostile people, and it's also going to affect the cost of trade goods and stuff like that. And then your traits right here are obviously very important. You'll notice that this is essentially just this. These things kind of align with where points go in there. So you don't really need to look at those a ton. You'll say, oh, they're getting their plant skills from them being a medieval slave, or like it just gives you a little bit more information. Or oh, they're not intellectual because they were a medieval slave. It gives you a nice little backstory about these people, and it explains where their skills come from. And health, I like to try to find people with decent health, or like this person with a prosthetic leg. It allows them to have, or not allows them, it gives them 85% efficiency, which lowers their movement speed and all that stuff. So when they're fighting, when they're trying to get to a fight, or when they're hauling goods and stuff like that around, they're going to take just a little longer than other people. So this person, like I said, these are good skills. Everything else kind of sucks, so we're going to try to find a new person. Trigger happy, I've noticed, is not terrible, but I mean, I'm seeing a lot of zeros here. They can shoot, they can melee. They're typically not going to do both at the same time, so I really don't care if they can do melee at some crazy profession, so I'm going to skip them. Pyromanic, nope, don't want you. Brawler, nimble, not bad. You can usually do good melee with brawlers. They won't shoot a gun, but like I said, you're going to want to usually have one melee, and you start off with one melee weapon anyways in the game. So this person's looking actually really solid. Eric Teddy Smith over here was a Boy Scout, which means they have some pretty basic good skills. And they were I wasn't expecting to look at that. I was like looking at my stream stuff. I look over, he was an RimWorld pimp. So I guess they sold drugs and stuff and sold women. I think this is an adult. I think I made all my streams like adult rated. Cause yeah, that's adult rated. Nimble's great. Nimble makes them able to dodge stuff a little bit better, and they're not going to trip traps as much. You can see that all correlates to the stuff that it says on the screen. They're incapable of cleaning, caused by them being a pimp. I'm not super concerned if they can't clean. Cleaning's not like gonna be a deal breaker. They've got a lot of interesting relationships. You might see these people come up in the game, but usually they don't have huge impacts from what I've noticed. And sometimes I've even seen people, unless you actually I'll take that back. They have impacts if you recruit them into your thing, or if they die or stuff like blah blah blah. So if this person is a part of your group and they get shot in the leg, this person will be like, oh my god, oh no, you know, my father got shot in the leg, oh my sister died of a bear attack or something, like, oh, I'm gonna have -10, like something, mental health or something, and I'll potentially break down. So things like that happen. So this game's like, it's got a lot going on in it. This person definitely interests me because their melee ability is very solid. Their construction is not bad. They can actually build some of the first stuff. 5 out of plants is where you start being able to build the what's it called? The medical stuff, I think. The heal root. They're great at medical. They're great at medical. That's going to be huge if I can keep them alive in a fight. That's going to be huge. They are melee and medical, which is funny because melee is typically is going to be your front up people, but still having a good medical person is not bad. And social, they could trade some. Intellectual, they're probably not going to be the person I go to for the intellectual stuff, but as far as melee and construction and nimble brawler and capable of cleaning, not too concerned about. Everything looks decent there. They can mine a little bit. They can't cook. That might be a problem, but I'm going to keep them on the list. So what I typically do is if I want to keep someone on the list, I'll either keep them up there or I'll slide them down here, and that'll get rid of one of the other people. Now, the reason I did these people first is because they're all decent, but these people are going to be better. So if I knock these people down, they'll just keep getting better and better. So we'll keep them as an idea for now for our construction, and we'll move along because it doesn't have to be crazy perfect, even though I want it to be. We don't want. I'm quick going through this quickly because I could see people that I'm not gonna want. These people have scratch scar. They don't shoot. I know that they're melee, so we already got our one melee person. We start off with 2 guns and 1 melee weapon, so that is going to be what I'm going to want. That person had way too many zeros. This person has a good thing. They incapable of carrying an animals. We don't want someone that's incapable of carrying. They're going to cause problems typically. And oh yeah, and they can't heal. Psychically deaf is not terrible. Because they don't get affected by the stuff. They can't shoot or anything because they're incapable of violence, so we don't want them. This means that they live like a very low quality life, so they're very easy to please, but they don't have any shooting abilities, so we don't want them right now off the start. Jealous, we don't want that. Too much melee. We're looking for shooting. Construction's not bad. Crafting is okay. It's not one of the well, it's a good one, but they have heart problems. They're incapable of all that, so we're gonna pass on that. Pass on them. No shooting. No shooting. Quick sleeper. Everything else is a little too low. We need someone that can cook. That's gonna be the next main thing. Is someone that can cook, and someone that can maybe do intellectual stuff for sure. So we're gonna keep clicking. We're gonna bypass all these people that are crazy looking. And this is how you pretty much find your 3 people. And obviously this is what I'm doing. So sanguine, I don't remember. They're always in a good mood. That's right. They can't do artistic. They're not incapable of it. They're just not going to learn it quickly. They're good at social animals and shooting. That's not good enough for me right now. I need them to be good at like cooking and other things than this person. Shooting, cooking, animals, art, stuff like that. This person is mostly going to be doing your construction, your medical, your plants at the start, which is good. They all kind of need a couple jobs they can do at the start. That's how you want to set them up. So we're looking through melee shooting. I don't need all that up there. That was an insane melee person. I don't need that. This person's frail, so we don't really want that. They're incapable of none, but we need intellectual, we need cooking. A crazy miner we don't need too much of because we're in large hills, so we don't need to go crazy on that one. And trust me, as you see, it's been almost an hour, but that's just because I'm doing a thorough explanation of what's happening here. I'm trying to be more thorough because this is going to eventually act like a tutorial video for people that want to start the game, and it'll give them a good idea of where to start so it's not frustrating and fun. Gourmand might sound like a good thing, like, oh, they're a gourmand, they can cook stuff and stuff. No, actually, they have a higher hunger rate and they typically want to eat like fancy food and stuff. So they will plow through your food, as you can tell. We don't want that. Steadfast, nimble, no shooting. We can't do that. Too many health problems. Incapable of firefighting, which is something you need for sure. No shooting, too much melee. We need to have good skills for shooting, but we need them to have their other flames elsewhere that are important, like cooking and animals, plants, medical. We don't mind having crafting as well, because crafting is something that's going to be very important. But intellectual and construction and plants and animals and cooking are like probably the important ones off the start. This person has a bad back. Not a fan of that. I want some of my smoothie here. This is a mixed berry smoothie. It's gonna. I think it has. Well, I threw in mixed berries in it, and I just don't know what's in it. That's what I'm saying. I think. Hey, girly. I know it's got blueberries and strawberries, but I think it also has raspberries in there. Hey, baby. Or possibly blackberries. And that was my cat. My screaming, cute little cat. Okay. Trigger happy, you can use that for certain guns. Being sniper rifles are great with trigger happy because they'll take your all your other, like anything with a high aiming time, but or with a low aiming time and a really high accuracy. This will be okay with. That was something I would be worried about. Is their moving is minus 30% and minus 10%. So we want to try to avoid that off the start. They seemed okay, tough. Sanders, you don't want people that don't get along with other sexes, because you're definitely going to want people of a different sex, because they're going to want to have relationships and stuff like that. So we'll just continue in there. That was really good. I'm just going to continue during this. So I've explained everything of what I'm looking for here. So I'm just going to quickly try to go through this and pick it and not explain everything. Because you'll see when you play this, if you're someone watching this that's new to the game, and you're watching this as like a guide, when you play it, you'll get more used to things like looking and seeing what type of traits you're used to, that you want and don't want. So you'll just get used to that. Kind and fast walking is good, but they have these issues and a lot of heavy stuff up here and a lot of other stuff that we need. Cat's over here chilling now. But after this is when the game starts. So yeah, we don't want cannibals. We don't want cannibals on our team here. This wouldn't be terrible. I'd want them to have maybe some more passion in some other things, because 35% learning is just not good. At least for the things that I would want them. I saw nervous over there and I didn't want that. Kind, no health conditions, they're decent at shooting. But see, these are a lot of things that I would want them to be able to do. Now, they are good at intellectual. They're good at artistic. And I mean, I could have them mine, and they can cook at least, and they can, like, tend the plants and stuff like that. The only reason I would consider this person is this right here. This would be the person I would sit at the workbench because they have 150 work speed. I've seen 150% on learning speed on intellectual. I would sit them at the research bench and just tell them to go to town. Now, I could use them for trades and I could use them to make statues, which can be traded. They can do basic medical stuff. I don't care if they do melee. I already got my melee person, Teddy, up there, the pimp. And he's probably going to just backhand everybody with that 11. And we're going to have 0 construction. However, Teddy's got that 4 and that 100% learning speed. This person could mine and maybe the cooking, I think, as long as it's a 3 or above, they can cook things that aren't going to be like crappy. So we'll go with this person. I think we'll go with Nicole Squid. Who are they? They're a vat-grown scientist, so they have some intellect and some medical. Medical's always nice, because if Teddy gets hurt, you know, you got a 4 you can at least take care of him. Teddy's going to be your main doctor, main construction person. Now, I've found better than this. I've found, you know, you could sit here and you could dig for days to find the best. Like, oh, I want someone with a minimum of 8 construction and blah, blah, blah. But I'm trying to get, as you'll see, you have team skills down here. You want to have all these main skills kind of covered. And like I said, the really main ones you're going to be doing a lot of. We're in large hills, yeah, you're going to be mining, so we can be okay with that. But the ones that are going to keep you alive and keep you in the game are going to be intellect, medical, plants, cooking. We're going to try to find our last person to be a cooking and, let's see, I think this person. We're going to see if we can find a cooking and an animals and a crafting person with shooting. Now that we've kind of got the other stuff, because artistic's not bad to have. But now I really need to get, let's see, they're good at plants. We need a cook, animal, craft with some shooting and a little bit of construction maybe, because I think we're good down here. So that's what we're going to look for next, is going to be cooking. They need to be able to shoot at least a little bit. But cooking, animals, and crafting are going to be pretty important ones, and I'm going to want those, if we can, to have the flames next to them. So that's why I'm like cruising through this one pretty quick. And if they don't have the flames through all of those, I would at least like to see like a couple of them, you know, and maybe have like, oh, if animals and cooking are really good, have crafting, even if it's not a flame, have it be like a 5 skill, so they at least have a base skill that they could start at. Because you're going to recruit other people later on, and you can learn these crafts through buying books and stuff like that. But right now we're going to look cooking, animals, shooting, and those are going to be the top ones, and obviously we're going to be looking at these. So this is our last person. We'll be fine with picking these people, because like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but this will at least give us a nice chance to have a pretty enjoyable game. So here we see someone that's not actually that bad, except that. That's where you run into a problem. So it sucks, because I would go with this person for sure. And that's where I do this. That's where I'm going to say this and put this one down here. Let's see, woods. I'm trying to remember how you do this. Oh yeah, that's right. I would do I would say, oh yeah, I want to keep woods. So I put woods down here, and then I'll just go random on Delgado. That sounds like some nonsensical phrase. And then now we'll look for someone. If we don't find someone we'll just go back to woods, even though they're psychically sensitive. I don't really want that. But they're doable, so that's what you do with people, like I said earlier. Like, you could always just click random until you find someone on the same person. But if you find someone that's good enough and you get tired of just like trying to search, then you can just fall back on them. Cooking, animals, crafting, and shooting is what we're looking for right now. So they got to be able to do all those, and I would like to have a few of them be 1 fire or 2 fire, which is their passion for them. It's like you have a flame, passionate flame, or whatever that means. Cooking, animals, crafting. And obviously sometimes you're not going to find people with all these traits like perfect. Like, I'm just saying those because those are the ones I'm missing out of these two. Now if I find a different combination of someone that's really good, I'll be like, oh well, maybe I'll replace them now or something like that. But that's just kind of what I'm looking for right now, so I can so I can have a decent start, and that we're not like really trying to make this a lengthy first, like, a learning video, because right now we're at an hour, and I think if we get maybe 15 minutes in more to get the game started, we'll be good. And that's like at the long point. I want to be starting in 5 minutes though. Cooking, animals, crafting, and shooting. And not a cannibal, or a jerk, or incapable of dumb labor. There's more than just those few things. But those are the things that I'm using that to quickly judge whether I want them or not. They're not great at crafting or any of this stuff. They're not incapable of it. They do move a little quicker, and they make the beauty of the area a little better. They have the animal skill, and they have the hunting, and they have the shooting skill. Now it's like, I don't have anyone that's really that good at crafting. Teddy could pull it off with a 4. Teddy could pull it off with a 4. He could do plants. And also you kind of want to see if there's a little overlap. It's great to have like a little overlap. Like, this person really is restricted. Now they're not bad. And it, like, that looks great down there. Our team skills. As you see, all the main skills have a passionate flame, which means we're going to be able to do all the things that we really need to do, like, somewhat effectively if you use the right people. It seems like, so the important things early on are going to be, you're going to want to cook food, you're going to want to construct your shelter and your items and your defenses and stuff like that. That's where I wish I had more construction. Construction we can learn early on. Construction, you can make mistakes early on and learn, and that's probably what I'll do. I'll probably have these two, since they're a 0 and a 1 at construction. I'm going to have them build a bunch of stuff at the start. because once they learn how to do it to like a level 4 or something like that, let's see, then they'll be able to actually do it somewhat consistently. Now these aren't the best, they're not the worst, but since it's been an hour and 10 minutes, we don't want to take any longer. We just want to go ahead and jump right into the game. This is very much playable. Just a quick recap of what we did is we generated a planet. We did 30% on that size. We found an area where we could travel within a few days travel time to several different trading opportunities that were the least hostile, so we could build relationships with them. And then we selected an area in large hills with year-round growing period and good rainfall in the temperate forest, so we know it's going to be a pretty nice, neutral, easy place to play. Then we just selected these characters to be random, but like not be the worst, not be like meth heads or anything. So we got a couple of these people. We just randomized them a couple times to get rid of some like terrible ones. And then we went through here and we tried to find a well-rounded crew that takes all these team skills and has a passion of learning speed of at least 100 beside each of these. So because these are going to be the main skills, because if you put someone else in here, you'll see some of those skills go away. They don't have the passion next to them because they didn't have the passion. So we're going to want 1 melee, and we're going to want 2 people that can shoot. So you see we got Teddy will be the melee at melee 11. Nicole will use so when they have the lower level skill, I usually give them the better gun. And the reason being is that because the gun is easier to use and better, they will do better with it. Where this person at a 15 shooting could take a revolver that's less accurate than a rifle and shoot it with better accuracy than this person. So I think doing that, you're going to get better results, and you'll see that when the game starts. Now these people don't need to be melee oriented right now. Like I said, when you drop in, you have 2 guns, 2 shooting weapons, and 1 melee weapon. Melee, or whatever people call it. I call it melee, but I think it could be melee. I don't know. Either way, you get 1 hand combat weapon guy. And then you go with construction is something you want. So you see you have your weapon skills. Then you have construction and mining. So Teddy's going to do our construction. He does okay at mining. Like you see the 3 is got basic familiarity, but he's 35% learning speed. So he's going to learn really slowly how to mine compared to like Rice over here, who has this 100% learning speed. And they're a level 4. They're a level 4. This is great. Everyone can mine to some extent, which is going to be nice because with large hills, I'll be able to put a lot of I'll be able to mine into these hills to create like storage areas, living areas, and all sorts of different stuff in the mountain, so we can keep our land for our animals and our energy stuff and for our plants. So we got Teddy does the construction, plants, medical, and social really well, and everything else he can craft. He's got a little intellectual, but Nicole is going to be the intellectual one. You're going to want to pretty quickly get down something called a research bench, and you'll see this in the game. And that's going to be best to get that down as early as possible. Doesn't have to be immediately, but you'll see after a couple days of in-game play, you're going to want to plan for that. And that's another thing, you'll see how I plan for things. We're at 1 hour and 13 in, so let me get 2 minutes in, we'll wrap up this, and then we'll continue on to the gameplay. I didn't want to spend too long in this intro. An hour does seem kind of lengthy, obviously, but it explains pretty much every aspect of the game if you're new and if you need help learning to play. Artistic stuff like that, you're going to use it for cells, but main ones right here, try to get those filled out with all passion. Try to get these people to, 2 shooters and a melee, or a melee, or whatever you call it. 2 shooters and a hand combat. And then get some cooking, mining, construction, plants, animals, a little crafting, medical, and intellectual. Intellectual, I'd say the main ones to me are construction, cooking, plants, animals, intellectual, social, medical. Artistic, crafting is okay, you definitely would like that. And mining can kind of work around. But these obviously are the ones, these are the main ones. So let's get into it. And now I'm going to take it, since it's been an hour and 15 minutes, I will take about a 5-minute break, but then I'll be back in just a few minutes to get into the actual game. If you're just joining, I just spent the first hour explaining this game, because it will be used as like a tutorial for new players, as well as just an explanation of how I like to choose my games and my scenarios and what my process is to choose some of these things. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes shorter. Now that it's explained, future videos in this are just going to be me playing the game and explaining all that stuff. So this one will just be a little bit more lengthy in that aspect. But you see how the game starts after we choose our 3 people. It says 3 of you awaken your cryosleep sarcophagi. You guys can read this later. I've left it up on the screen. But I'll let them crash. Those are their like space pods coming down. Now they're out. I'm over here. I paused the game. And sorry if you just joined. I'm about to take a brief, like a 3 to 5 minute break, just to like check my cats and stretch. We did just start the game. I just went through the whole process of how I play, how I pick the crew, based on their all their traits and stuff like that. I just went over that. So you'll see that we're gonna change a lot of, we're gonna look through all this stuff here in a little bit and explain each thing. We're also going to change, this is one of the first things that you're going to want to do, and this is the first thing I'll do before we even go to the break, is, well, no, we'll explain this later, but you will want to go to the work tab. That's the work tab, and you're going to want to turn on the manual priorities. And I'll explain how this works here, because you see firefighting, patient, doctor, bed rest, basic, warden handling. Remember the skills we were talking about in the thing: plants, growing, construction, crafting, research. This is where this comes into play. That's going to be your doctor, your main doctor. They're going to also do construction as one of their main tasks. They're also going to do plants as one of their main tasks. So you could see Teddy right here is going to have some of these main tasks. They'll show their passion. Normal priority is a 3. 2 is high priority. 1 is the highest priority. This means, and it goes down the list from left to right. So, I'll explain this in a second. I'll be back in just a moment. I need to stretch, and then we will go over all these things right here. We will leave you guys with Teddy's bio. Enjoy him. Actually, we'll leave you guys with the be back soon, because we'll be back soon. Alright, we are back in the actual game now, and the game has just started. We have not done anything. This is literally the start of the game where after you pick your characters for this mode, they drop in and they are sitting here with this assortment of materials around them with X's on them. You'll see all this stuff has X's on them. However, this stuff doesn't have X's on it. And other stuff does not. But even like far away from your area, you'll find stuff. So, to do this, to get rid of them, and that's what you want to do. You want to get rid of them because right now they're not allowed, which means your colonists are not going to interact with them. They're not going to pick them up. They're not going to do anything with them. You want to change this. See how I double click, double left click selects everything invisible on the screen pretty much. So you see I grabbed that one there now because it's visible on the screen. Grab that one. But now watch when I double click, I grab these. Since this was not on the screen, it will not grab that. I'm just turning down the desktop audio here of the game, so it's still there. I love the music in this game. We could turn it down a little bit. It's already down at 40%. We'll put it at 30%, just because I'll be talking through this video and stuff, and I want people to be able to hear that, but I want you also to hear the sweet music. So you want them to be able to pick stuff like this up. So right now, as soon as they drop and leave their pods, I would definitely recommend pausing it. I'm going to stop explaining some stuff pretty much after I start getting building, because you'll want to kind of learn it for yourself. But just the main tips I would have for new starting players is to come in here as soon as they drop, pause the game, which let's see, I believe it's the space key. Yeah, so you have space, you have 1, 2, and 3. So I'll just do it real quick. 1 is going to play, 2 is that, 2 is that. That's different speeds. You'll see it go through that. It goes through 1, 2, 3, and that's going to be a lot of the main buttons you're going to use on your keyboard. So they're over here, they're standing around. They haven't been told to do anything, and you now see some messages over here. You're going to want to pay attention to this side. It tells you a lot of information about the weather, the month, how many days you've been alive, how many days each season is, and then it shows you about things that you need. You have no colonist beds. They're going to sleep outside on the ground, essentially, if you don't build them beds. Oh, there's no recreation. We've been here for 30 seconds, and they need recreation. Yep, they do. So these are things that you're going to want to build and take care of pretty much immediately. I'll show you once we start doing things. I'll show you how I change this. Hotkeys, let's see, I really don't use these. So I'll want to do this in a second, which is the fertility overlay. And I'll just go ahead and do it right now. So you'll see the yellow. Yellow, it says stony soil. You'll see at the bottom left. I don't know why I'm trying to point, but if I move the thing, you'll see down here it says walk speed, fertility 100%. That's because we are currently, our mouse is hovering over just this green area. But if you go over this yellow area, you'll see the fertility drops and the walk speed drops as well. And you're gonna have let's see, if we have, obviously you see these nice bright green areas, that's gonna be important in a second. Some areas you'll see they don't have any fertility. This rough marble right here, it's not a mountain, it's a ground, but it doesn't have any fertility because it's like stone. And you see over here we have more of these items that we want to pick up. It's steel. We'll definitely want to allow that in a little bit. But when you're planning to set up your first base and stuff, What I like to do is I usually set it up around where I land just because it's easy, and I'll look and see. Wow, it's a nice chunk of fertile stuff. Fertile stuff is better, but I like to be in a central location of the map also, um, compared to like, oh, super high fertility, but I'm like right here, because if people come in and attack, you don't get a ton of time to react. And being more in a central location, I don't even know where we are anymore. Right here, right here. I'm not going to use this. Probably there's no fertility here. This is mud. I'll probably just use this, and you'll see how I break it up. This is more than enough space to grow what you need to grow for now at the speed you need to grow it, considering we have year-round growing and all that stuff. So to see this, you'll see even just to look at the bottom left screen of the screen where it says grass, rich soil, walk speed 80%, fertility 140%. So this green area right here, this bright green area, that you don't see initially when you land in the game, because you actually have to come over here and go to the second row, and in the fourth column there is a toggle fertility overlay, and it looks like a little seedling in a circle. This is how the game looks when you drop in. Now you can see this area. See what the soil looks like. Now you can see that darker soil. So when you get, more advanced and play the game more often, you're going to say, okay, this is just regular dirt. This looks like fertile dirt, and you can hover over it and see that. You won't have to turn on the overlay. Same as well here. You'll see this dirt, this brown, darker brown, and it's got a lot of this vegetation growing on it and stuff like that. You'll really recognize that. These we're going to want to pick up, and you'll see these things are deteriorating because they are unroofed and they are outdoors. And it shows you at the rate at which it deteriorates. So if you have 50 of them in a stack, in 4 days, because it goes 0.25 a day, so 0.25 times 4 is 1 day. I'm sorry, 0.25 a day, yeah. So in 4 days, it'll be 1. So in 4 days, you'll lose one of this stack of 50. And every 4 days, you'll keep losing one as long as they sit outside. And it takes a while to construct and to build shelters. Not a while, but it takes partial days to build things. Sometimes it takes days to build things, depending on how much you have to clear, like a day or a half of a day or a third of a day, just depending on how much you have to clear and how effective your people are at constructing. As you see, we pretty much have this one guy that's a high priority, and we're going to make him be our construction guy the first thing. And that's another thing. When you want to come in here, you want to go to the work tab first thing, and this is before we even do anything. Manual priorities. Do manual priorities. All of them till you see up to basic. I like to put those all at 1, except doctor is specific. So you'll want firefighting 1, patient 1, bed rest 1, and basic 1. This means all of them will prioritize. So as you see, higher priority, lower priority down here. So it starts at the beginning of the day. It says, okay, does this person need to firefight? Does this person need to be a patient? If not, it continues down the line. But since these are high priorities, it'll always say, okay, see, it's a 1. If we put it a 0, they will not firefight. If we put it at a 4, it's a low, normal, high, and top. And these are even, and it goes from 4 to 0 or whatever, 1 to 0 like that. But it also goes from left to right. So people will naturally do these things before they do any of this stuff. That being said, we'll make this guy our only doctor, and this person, since they're a 4, we'll make it to where they do it as a normal priority. So if they have to, we can even make it as a low priority, honestly. It's like that's pretty much saying if Teddy is not able to be a doctor, this individual will. However, if these two individuals cannot be a doctor, this person will not do it because they have zero medical skills, and I'm going to not set them at anything because, as you see, when they have zero skills, it'll mark this red, which means they're like not good at this. And you don't want someone with zero skills being your doctor trying to heal wounds because they're not going to be effective at it at all, um, unless they have to. And at this point, that's why you keep them at this until if it happens, these two are incapacitated and you have to be a doctor. Then you say, okay, pause the game, go in here and put them at a doctor real quick, have them do their stuff, and then put them right back at it after you need to. But bed rest, they all need to rest, and they all need to do basic stuff like hauling, doors, all that stuff. So then wardening, when you capture enemies, or when you, I don't know how to do it. When you're trying to recruit people, you need to kind of be a warden. So when you're recruiting people, sometimes you need to capture them, even though if they're friendly or not, or an enemy. You need a warden to socialize them and to make them more friendly to you and more susceptible to being in your group. So right now, they have a 9 and a 7. Those are pretty good. So I'll keep that at a 3 and I'll put that at a 2, which means if I ever capture someone, they'll come in here and they'll do that. But I'm gonna want them to do other stuff as a priority. So in fact, actually, I'll keep these at 3 until I need a warden, honestly. So then they don't even have to think about it. They just move to the next task. Handling, which is going to be animals and stuff like that. We're not going to do any of that right now. This person can do it at a 4, which is good enough, as you see, to do it. So we're going to actually put them at a 4 for a low in case we need them to do it. And this person at a 3 because we will be using them in the future. Cooking and research. This person can do art and all that stuff. Yeah, that's great. They can haul. I want people right now in the early game. I kind of all want them to haul. So we're going to put them all at a 1 for hauling because we're going to make all this stuff haulable, and we're going to make a stockpile for them to put it in and a trash for them to put in. So in the early game, the first thing I do is set them all to haul stuff. I'll even put them at a 2 construction. And then the next task that I want them to do following their hauling adventure, once they're finished hauling everything, is I'll have them do their main task. Like, I would want this person to do construction. And then you'll see I'm putting it at a 2 now, but I'll switch it back later on. So I would want them to do construction. I would probably want this person to potentially hunt, or grow. I need someone to grow. Our best grower is also going to be our construction person. So what we're going to do is, since the construction early game is going to involve building very basic things out of wood, we're going to put our 2 super low level people that, as you see, are in the red on construction. We're going to give them the 1 on the grow when we switch them to haul. After we do that, that's what I'm saying. After I do the haul, we're going to do that. And we're going to build their skill up in the early game because we need them right now to focus on growing. And that's just how it works sometimes. So we'll do that. And then once they construct, then this individual can use one of those construction devices as their research. And then this person can use the construct devices to either cook, or I can make them hunt. Right now, we're just going to have everyone haul. We're just going to do hauling. So another thing, I need to equip them with, remember when I was saying I need 2 people that can shoot and I need 1 person that can melee? I need to equip them each. As you see right here, we have a bolt action rifle. Right here we have a revolver, and right here we have a plasteel knife. So Teddy, I think, was our, so you can either click on the icons up here to select one, or you could do this or you could hover over all of them and do that, or you can hover over all of them and do that, or you could hover over two of them. Whatever you want to do, you can do that. Okay, you could. I think you can do control. I don't know, maybe shift. Yeah, okay. So you press shift if you don't. If you want like, oh, I don't want Teddy in there. You can either deselect him, which is the quickest way to do it. Both of them involve two motions actually. That's a 1 and a 2. We're gonna do 1, 2. It's up to you. Or even quicker and shorter motion, 1, 2. So that's by holding the shift and just clicking those. So now that we know how to do that, we're going to look at this individual right here, Teddy. We remembered that they did melee. We're going to look at their bio and we're going to confirm like, oh yeah, they're the melee person. They're the unarmed combat person. I'm just going to, or they're the hand-to-hand combat person. I don't know, I'm going to get raked over the fucking coals for pronouncing this word wrong. We're going to worry about it later. Melee. So the melee is 11 for this guy. And by comparison, just so you know, I did pick two people that could shoot. They're 15 and a 7. And that'll also correspond with the guns they get. The 15, I'm going to give them the revolver. Because the revolver... Now this is another thing you're going to want to know. When you click on items, you'll see them pop up here at the bottom left of the screen. You're going to want to press this I. That I will give you the information. You're going to want to use that a lot. Because you're going to want to look at things. Look at how much they cost. How many hit points they take is how effective like coverage is going to be if you need to build coverage. How much it weighs is going to be how much it's going to cost you to carry if you're carrying, if you're trading it, or if it's on your person to carry. It's where it's created at, how much, what ingredients it uses. All these things are important. How much work it takes to make, and you'll see that value gets changed by that percentage of if someone can craft or not, or something like that. The beauty that it'll output when it's finished. Things like that. The guns, they don't matter. The beauty doesn't matter for guns. Art, you'll see like that doesn't matter. Sell price multiplier, deterioration rate is how much they'll deteriorate if they're outside, which everything deteriorates outside, I think, except, well, no, not everything. Some items don't, like steel. I don't believe steel deteriorates outside. Yeah, it doesn't have a deterioration rate, so steel will be fine. But let's go back to the revolver. You'll see, so the reason I'm giving the revolver to the better shooter is because it has lesser accuracy, which means that since they have a better ability, that lesser accuracy is not going to affect them as much as it would someone with a lesser ability. Like, they're going to be able to shoot this at close to higher effectiveness than the other person, essentially, at all these accuracies. And I think the aiming time, I don't know 100% if that's correct or if it's just the cooldown of these. Either way, you're definitely going to want to take your best shooter and your worst shooter and look at the guns and what actually their shooting effects. So shooting effects. It just affects. Let's look at a shooter. Yeah, I don't know 100%, but I'd say definitely give the better shooter the worst gun and the worst shooter the easier gun to use is my typical rule. So I'm going to do allow on all the weapons, and then you'll see armor here. This is the flak vest, this is a pair of pants, and this is a helmet. So I'll usually say, okay, the pants, block they take 200 hit points, and they block these layers. It doesn't matter. I like to split up the armor between 3 people at the start. So it blocks sharp at 55%, so that's like stabs. The helmet is going to block sharp at 79%, heat and all that. So I might give that to the melee person, and then your flak vest is going to do 100% sharp. So I think the vest is what I'll give to the person that's going to be up close. So Teddy will get the vest and the knife, and then Nicole will get the headgear, and then Rice, since they're the better shooter, will get the pants. So that's kind of what I'll do. I'll give the worst like the better shooter, the worst gear. Essentially, is my like rule for these things. So what I need to do now is I need to take them. I need to verify that they are the best shooter. I'm going to go ahead and equip them with the revolver. Now you see it's still paused, and that selection has been made. I'm going to go to Teddy. I'm going to have them equip the knife, and I'm just selecting one task for each of them because that's how you do this for now. And then you'll equip that. Okay. Now I'm going to press spacebar, which is going to go to full speed because that was the last speed I had on. That'll unpause it. Now Teddy, we're going to say, hey man, wear these pants. So it says force target to wear flag pants normal. Force wear flag pants normal. Same thing, you can just say force wear or force target to wear. Doesn't matter. I think I'm just gonna say force target to wear. Actually, no. I think I always go with force wear flag pants. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to select the target because you're already on the target. Then we're gonna do Rice is going to get. No, Teddy. Hold on, Teddy, you jerk. You're wearing the vest. Teddy's wearing the vest. Rice is wearing the pants, and Nicole's wearing the helmet. So now select them. As you see, it happens quick on the quick speed, and then I'll press go back to 1 speed. I'm just going to group them, so I grab them all right here, and then I'm going to left click. Wait a second. Oh, no, wait. You have to draft them to move them. I'm sorry. That's right. If you want to move them, you draft them. Now you see how they have if they have the weapons under them, they're drafted. That's how you're going to enter combat a lot of times. But when you draft them, that's how you tell them where to go. That's another big thing you're going to want to do. But you're not going to want them drafted all the time. So you just want to keep them undrafted for now, because you don't need to keep them drafted for doing tasks. You only need them drafted when you're doing combat. And that's because you're going to draft them to either enter combat before when you see the enemies. Now they'll enter combat on their own if they start getting attacked. Sometimes you can set them to enter combat on their own, but that's how you're going to enter combat 99% of the time, is you're going to draft them, and you're going to tell them, you're going to say, hey, I need to draft all of you, or I need to draft some of you. Teddy, I need you to go over here behind this tree. Nicole, I need you to go over here behind that steel. Rice, I need you to go over here behind that steel. And you're going to have them scatter out on the field and create a nice resistance to whatever's attacking. Or if they need to hunt something, you will say, let's just say undraft them. Let's say, Nicole, you're hunting for me. You got the rifle. I need you to hunt. So you're going to go and you could just click on an animal and it'll attack an animal. And you can also tell them to hunt as well in their, in this work tab. So, but if you want them to hunt a specific animal, like immediately, you can do that. You can draft them and do it that way. So now each of these individuals has, we'll draft them and we'll put them here. We'll just say, yeah, because we don't need, it's deteriorating. So we'll just say, okay, Rice, go here. Just to show you, okay, you can line them all up. Now they're nice, neat, and lined, and you can look at everything. They're away from stuff, and that takes 2 seconds, so nothing is going to melt away. Now is where a big portion of the game takes place, is where you're going to plan your things. You'll see it's tough to see, I guess, because of my floating head here. But you could sort of see. So there's tabs over here. So this is temperature, recreation. If I continue to go up on this right side behind my fat head, it says miscellaneous, power, production, zone. And on the left side, it says orders, structure, furniture, security, and floors. You're using these tabs all the time. Architect, work, schedule. You can use this. You can choose to use it or not. I typically don't use it, and my games work out fine. So you can actually ignore this. This is if you really want to micromanage everything. Assign. You'll occasionally use this for your food and drug policies, depending on who you end up recruiting and who you have. You may want to tell someone to do that. You could manage your policies, name them different things, tell them to wear certain things, make a new one, tell them to only wear headgear of an X percentage of hit percentage, and we can explain that later. That's later game stuff. Usually you'll want to have them wear 51% or greater hit points, because after that items become beat up. So we can actually do that right now since we're thinking about it. And since we only have 3 of these, we'll go ahead and make a new policy. We're just going to go ahead and, I guess there's already one in here. We just did that. We'll rename it. Actually, we'll just name it basic. And what this is going to be is, right now they can wear anything. We are going to limit them to wearing tainted. We don't want them to wear tainted apparel. And we want to slide the slider at 51% to 100% hit points. Any quality is fine for now. But if you do that, that's the best place to start. Then you can go in here and start really micromanaging, but at least do 51% to 100%, this bar right here, because below this is when things break down, like materials, and people start getting mad and they fall off, and so they'll end up nude, whatever. Anyways, I don't know like the specifics. And then tainted apparel is worn by corpse. They'll just find it unappealing, and I'll show you more of how that works later. But headgear, we are going to allow them to wear every headgear. That's fine, no problems there. Armor, they're allowed to wear all armor and all armor headgear, so we're fine with that. Utility, we're fine with them using any of the fire foam stuff, orbital bombardment targeters, psychic insanity lances. These are cool things that you definitely want them to use. So you don't want to get rid of any of your utilities. Miscellaneous. This is where your shirts and stuff come in. The only thing I typically get rid of is tribal wear. That's it. The only thing I get rid of is tribal wear. Because they'll find t-shirts, they'll wear stuff like that, but usually I'll make people, and when I get the tailoring and when you get cotton and stuff like that, you can start making them clothes. I'll make them a button-down shirt, a pair of pants, and like a parka to wear in the winter. And sometimes you get fancy, you can wear a duster and stuff like that, but typically I'll go button-down shirt, pants, and parka are the essentials that I usually use. And I think these, I don't know, it says covers torso, left shoulder, right shoulder. I believe the button down shirt covers more. So, and it's nice looking. So that's why I do that. And then tribal wear, it just is tribal looking. It doesn't cover much. It says it looks primitive, and we're not going to use that. So we'll limit our guys to tribal wear, no tainted, and 51% to 100. Very easy setup. Now that we have that, we know basic is set. Basic is set to this. We'll close it, and then we'll come over here. We'll click this button, the anything button, because this is how you select those. So you see manage apparel policies is where we just were. This will allow you to manage any of the tabs, anything, basic, nudist, soldier, worker. And you could change these to how you like them, how we just did with basic. You could make people only wear soldier stuff if you want to. And you'll see those same corresponding tabs in an editing option here. But since we just made basic, we are going to do basic. And then I've never understood this forced thing. So if you just click it like that, it gets rid of it. Their apparel policies basic. which includes what they're currently wearing, and they shouldn't change out of what they're wearing. It should be fine. If they do, then we'll just change them back into it, and it'll be forced again, and you'll just leave it. Food policy, you can manage that as well. Same thing. It's pretty much what foods they'll eat. You can make people only eat raw foods or paste. These people will eat any of the above. They'll do social drugs, that's fine for now. And the reading policy, they'll read anything. Some people you can make read specific skill books so they don't read any other skill books. But I don't care right now with that. We got our first 3 people. And that's how that tab works. That's how the assign tab works. So that's something also that you want to get done early on. That's going to set you up for a good game, is getting that work tab set up how you want it. I like to have people haul it first, and then you'll see I'll do some construction. I'll mix this up between the game, and once you play more, you'll start to realize what these things do. Because you see they each do, if you hover over the tab, if you hover over the name, it'll tell you what they do and where they do it, and that's how you'll be able to determine what gets done. So you got that schedule. Not worried about that. Assign animals. We don't have any animals except our beautiful pet Orange, which happens to be a male iguana right here. You always start off with one animal. It's random. Sometimes it's a donkey, sometimes it's a squirrel, a rabbit. In our case, it's an iguana. So we have an iguana named Orange. You don't slaughter them, just let them hang out. Let them be your little pet. Sometimes they'll bond with one of your people, and it'll be a good experience for them until the animal dies. Wildlife. The wildlife tab I rarely, if ever, use. But if you can't find any animals to hunt visually, if you're scrolling around, you're like, oh, I can't find, this will show you animals on here. You can click on them, it'll take you to it. That's a wild boar, and you could choose to hunt it or tame it or do whatever. So you could use that tab to do that and select different animals that way. And you could choose here also to mark them to be hunted or mark them to be tamed. You could do all that from the animals, the wildlife tab, sorry. Research is hugely, hugely, hugely important. You will be using this tab all the time, and you will need to be familiar with, well, not familiar with it, you'll just remember some things, look at some things, try different methods. I'll explain my methods, what I like to pick first and why. And after, like I said, after 800 hours of gameplay, I know how the progression goes and I have a good idea of what to do. But what I'm doing doesn't necessarily have to be done. You could play it a completely different way, still get to the end game, still have fun. But what I'm doing is just because I like the process of how I'm playing it. So then you have your quest here, which we'll get to later. You don't have those yet because the game just started. And then the world, that looks different. That looks like that updated because that used to not have a, or at least last time I played it a year ago, this did not have like a green thing around it. But that's where you are on the map. That's where we selected. That was our location. That's the location information. This is how you're going to navigate around the world. You'll want to form caravans and select different things. And if you want to go back into it, you could do zoom in, or you could press the world tab here. But that's your home. And these are the people you trade with. If you need to trade with them and you want to know how long the journey is going to take, you just click here, click on your home with a right click, and then right click on destination. Take you 1.5 days to get there. If you want to go there, then there, it'll take you 4.57 days. If you want to remove that and just figure out how to go there, it'll take you 2.25 days. So you can add different destinations. Let's say you want to go there, then you want to go here. You would add that. It would say, oh, go here, go here. That's going to take you 5 days to go to these two places. then you can just right click everything to get rid of it, or you could click down here and you're no longer in that menu. But you can do zoom in, but this time we can just press world. It'll just take you back to where we were on those things. So what we're going to do first is we're going to set up a storage area to try to get all this stuff under a roof and start planning out where things are going to go and get one person to start growing and clearing out this area to grow. So we'll do this at first. We'll start off with this, and unfortunately you can't see it because my head is in the way on the stream, but I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to zone, which is the top right button in that little 2 column setup there. I'm going to go to zone over here, and then I'm going to go to growing zone. Then I'm going to make a few zones. I like to grow rice. I like to grow corn, potatoes, and heel root if I have someone that's capable of it. I'll try to keep. Hey, girly, my cat's going crazy. I'll try to keep them 100% in the fertile areas. Come on, baby. Just because you don't need anything crazy, and you can make little squares like this, and it's just more than enough space. So I'll do just 20 for heel root, and then I'll click it when it's done, and let's see if I can actually make it. I think I have someone that can make heel root. Okay, it's a skill of 8. I thought it was a 5. Strawberries 5. So we could still actually use this area for the strawberries. Do that, name it. Now you have your little area right here. When you go back to the regular mode, it's kind of hard to see, but you could sort of see. You can click on it. I have an outline. You can sort of see that like green in there compared to the brown. So we got one growing area. It's a size 20, so it'll grow 20 strawberry plants. And it's 100% in the fertile area. And you can even just add these if you want to for fun. I like to make little squares to start off with because it's easier. And you can expand the zone if you want to. You can expand it like that. You can shrink it. You can do whatever. You could change it. You could allow if it's cut or sowed and all that good stuff. We're just going to keep making a few zones. Strawberries are good to have because berries, they can eat it raw. The other things, they can eat it raw, but it's better cooked. But the berries are good to have. And we have someone here that's going to grow eventually. I guess we'll go ahead and set them to grow, and we'll have these other 2 haul for now. And yeah, I know these are red, but since we're building basic stuff for now, they can do that because that's our construction person, but they need to grow. So we'll go back here and we'll do another growing zone. And we know that one ends there, so I like to go one over. And we can go up here. I'll make like a 27. It's like 31 or something like that. What's this? 40. That's a nice round number. So we'll do that. It's not perfectly square, but it uses that area pretty well. It gets us a nice number. And since that's such a large number, we'll do that as like our main crop that we're going to eat, which will be rice because it grows the quickest. And you can see like the information about how fast they grow, how much light they do, how all that stuff. So this takes 3 days to grow rice. If you compare that to like a corn plant takes 11 days to grow. And hay grass, you'll use that for your animals and stuff like that. Potato plant is just a little bit more than rice, and it's good to have because, just as an example, rice nutrition is 0.18, right? Potato plant, I think, is going to be just a little bit more than that. So potato plant grows 2 days slightly. My cat is trying to navigate in such a ridiculous way. So it's going to take a little longer, but it's going to be a little more nutritious. So what I like to do is I like to grow rice and potatoes to balance things out. So right now, let's see. I'm gonna go rice here. We got strawberries here, which is gonna give us a raw option. And strawberries, just to look at that for fun. Their nutrition is decent. It's like in between potato and the other one. It takes higher skill to it takes more skill though to plant than these. So we're gonna do strawberry, rice, and then I'll probably do like potato or cotton and something like that. So we definitely need cotton. Cotton's huge. Um, I'm gonna make this area cotton. I think maybe a little more than that. I'm trying to think. That should be enough cotton for now. Sometimes I overdo it. I need to rename the other one. If you have multiples, I just like write rice 1, rice 2, all that stuff. So we still have this nice little chunk here and this nice little chunk here that we can use. I'm a little kidding. I'm just gonna make this a weird one. I think you want like a space between them or they'll merge. I think this is 30. That's kind of cool that that happened to be an even number. We'll make this potato right next to those the rice. Oh, baby. Okay. So we got a 40 for that, a 30 for the potato, a 20 for the strawberry, and then we got 27 for cotton. I don't give a shit that that's not an even number. We could make more cotton and get our clothes out quicker, but I don't care. Then I could make another one here. And we can do maybe corn because it takes longer to grow, but it's more nutrition or whatever. It has more nutrition. So it's a nice long-term one to do. So now that we have that, we would have our corn, cotton, our rice, our potato, and then our strawberry. And then once we get our where am I going? Where am I going? This is where I'm going. Okay, once we have Teddy to a level 8, then we can do the heal root. So that's what we'll want to put down here. Later on is the heal root, and then everything will kind of be in its own little. We can expand these later if we want to, but this is just a good start to have these. So we'll make this corn, and now we have all the essentials that we can grow: cotton, rice, potato, corn, and strawberry. As you see, we need to be a level 8 skill to be able to grow heal root. And we can grow hops and stuff like that as well. In fact, we can just go ahead and do that. Well, no, because we actually don't have brewing yet. And we're not really concerned with this yet. Usually I do hops more of like the mid-game, early to mid-game, and other stuff like this, because you don't need it immediately. And immediately I want to use the resources to build the essentials. So as you see, we still haven't unxed anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out. We're going to double click that. We're going to do that. We're going to double click that. We're going to do that. You see they pop up everywhere. That's why you zoom out. And we're still going to scroll around the map and get rid of this stuff. Wood, definitely do that. Other materials like silver, components. Let's see, are we missing anything? These. So you see those are no longer red X. That means they're now allowed and the people can carry them. But sometimes you got to scroll off over here to the corners. And you gotta look around and say, okay, did I miss anything? Because you'll find steel and stuff like that, like over in areas on the map. You can zoom in, zoom out as much as you want to, and you can just quickly look over it. And then later on, if you find something with a red X on it, you can just go back and pick it up too. The main things you want to get are going to be those food things because they spoil these things right here. See how that, if we were zoomed in here and just selected these, we would have completely missed these and they would not be allowed, which means our people would not have picked them up and we could have missed them. So those are the things that you're going to want to get, things that deteriorate. Stuff like steel, and in fact, just as we were saying that, we would have missed these because when you zoom out, you can't see the whole map. And as you see, this is where we were. These are on the edge over here. And it actually makes it harder with that that overlay on. We were using the fertility overlay there to do some planting. So yeah, you can see it way better now without that on. And we're just looking for those X's. As you see, if you find them, it's sometimes hard to see, but I saw it from there. See it, you zoom in, double click, it'll grab the group, and you allow that. And we're just, we're going to do that until we looked over the whole map. And then we're going to start planning and placing out areas for our 3 people that we have currently drafted, just because I moved them. You won't need them drafted. That's just for that step. Then we'll have them start building our base. Our base, we're just going to build, as you saw, we're putting our grow area here. So we're going to build our base in this area. We might even utilize this previously kind of destroyed building. And we'll claim some of this stuff to be ours, which will allow it to be repaired. And it'll allow it also to be picked up in, like, let's say the steel door. I could claim it and deconstruct it, and that'll give me some steel. Same with this marble and the granite as well, and these slate pieces, limestone. I can go ahead and do that, and if I want to, I could keep the walls. But since it's steel, I'm probably going to destroy that too. And you see down here in the bottom left corner, I don't know if you could see it. It'll say marble flagstone. You can also take that too by let's see. Bear with me, it's been a year since I've played, but I do have, like I said, over 800 hours in this. So you would go to the orders tab right here, and you will have all these options. But remove floor is what I'm looking for. I don't think it's in this tab. Maybe structure, zone. I don't know, floors. It's under the floor tab. So under the floor tab, you can click here and you can click remove floor. You just click that and you kind of highlight the whole area. You can see it's picking up all that floor. Anything that's a floor over there in that area, it'll pick up. And you do that. And then now, later on, whenever I have them do construction processes, they'll clean up this floor and it'll give us that material. It'll give us that marble material, which is going to be great for us to use for our floors and stuff over here. But we'll just go ahead and quickly cancel that because we don't want them to come over here and start removing floors when we need them to build stockpiles and to be putting this stuff indoors so it doesn't deteriorate. Things like components, yeah, it takes a while to deteriorate, actually 2 a day. You don't want that. You don't want to be losing components. You don't want to lose anything. Steel can sit outside. Wood, you'll find wood everywhere, as you see. There's trees everywhere. Just an example, I'm going over to the orders button on the top left there. I'm clicking that chop wood and I'm just hovering over. And this is how I'll actually chop wood in the area when I need wood. I'll just say, okay, I want wood. I'll need that much now, or I'll need that much now. And I'll do that when I need wood and stuff like that. And you'll see me do that here in a few minutes. First thing we're going to do though is we're going to plan. Because I know roughly the size of like how big my storage needs to be. The limits of rooms, how big they can be without having structural components like the columns in the middle to hold up the roof and stuff like that. And I'll go ahead and create some storage spaces to where while this individual is growing and these people are hauling, I'll be planning and I'll give them areas and stuff like that. So, all right, I think we got all the red X's. Just want to clear that all up again. There's a ton to do, so you'll see I'll be talking a lot because there's a lot to do, and there's a lot to explain in this game. But that's like the great thing about this game is how in depth it is and what you can do. I'm just looking for red X's because things like that are important to get. These are good. I think we got everything. Okay, so this has been 2 hours and 15 minutes just explaining the game up until this point and describing how it works. This should be a pretty good tutorial eventually for anyone new who's watching, or if anyone who watches this in the future when I like cut it into tutorial version of this game. So this game can definitely be like confusing to get into because of all the little things that you have to kind of know. Otherwise, people could just start dying off and stuff like that. But I'm going to go ahead and undraft them. I'm going to let them sit there because we're paused. Move it 1. And I'm going to go stretch for a second. I like to try to stretch every hour, every half hour, something like that. Because it's just not good to sit here. My back and my arms start to hurt. And I like to check on my cats to make sure they're not doing anything. But I'll be back in a few minutes to play some actual RimWorld here. If you've watched or if you're watching this in the future, you should have a pretty good idea of how to select your people, how to select an area, how to grow, how to do all that stuff up to now. And after this, it gets a lot easier and a lot more fun. This is just the basics of the game that you have to know to be able to start every single RimWorld game that you play. Without these basics, the game can be challenging for sure, depending on the mode that you select. But I'll be back in just a few minutes, and hope you keep watching. If you are enjoying it, you can definitely check out the tutorial later on if you need some more tips. Again, if you forget anything, it'll be on my YouTube channel at Third Shot Gaming, and you can also check out my shorts and stuff there from other games. I'll post clips and highlights and all that stuff, so definitely feel free to check that out. Alright, I'll be back in just a second. Now comes the fun part. The actual, well, not the fun part. Fun part comes in about like several hours from now, which I'm not sure I'll stream this whole thing for until then. I might stop at a certain point. We will see. But so typically, I have them set for haul. Now usually I like them to haul stuff into a little pile outdoors and then haul it into the and then make shelves and stuff like that later. But I'm going to try a new strategy today. I think I'm going to just build. I'm going to try to plan out the structure first with the planning feature. I'm going to try to go ahead and just immediately build storage shelves for them to use, because I think that it'll actually be quicker and they will deteriorate less. Maybe not, but I think it'll be quick enough. There's tons of animals to hunt. We're gonna build a freezer first thing here in a little bit, so there's tons of animals to hunt, so food won't be an issue. We're gonna get someone growing. We're gonna get these two people doing construction, since they're so low level. And we'll get them building that. Once they run out of wood, we'll have them chop wood. Stuff the grower do their job. Grower will actually chop wood while they're growing, so that'll help. And we'll go from there. Let's see. So now I'm gonna plan. I'm looking and seeing. There's combat machinery. I'll definitely want to mine that in the future. So I don't want to build anything right here in front of that. Honestly, building something just like right here is not a bad idea. I could make this an entrance to this little system eventually and build something here. So I think at the start, we're gonna start off with this architect tab. We're gonna go under here to planning, and I'm gonna take this right across here. I'm gonna say, okay, that's 10. And then, okay, I want a 10 by 10 area. I want 100. Let's say that. Or I want a 10 by 11 area. I think what you can do without the walls falling is a 12 by 12 area. I think that's what you can do without the walls falling. Now, what you're going to want to keep in mind is that's going to be the interior space. So if you want this to line up, if you want your outside wall up here to line up with this, just because of maybe some future plans, you're going to want to do this. So then your exterior wall will go there, there, and there. And then what I like to do is remove the inside, and then this will also be exterior wall. So now that is your plan, and that is going to be a 12 by 12 area. Now I think we're about to find out. This is going to be a good test because I don't remember. I think the 12 by 12 is as big as you can go without requiring a column to be placed. Maybe I'm wrong, because a column looks like, well, no, a column looks like it would fit one extra, right? So without a column being placed, which means I won't have to use that one space for a column. I'll just be able to use all this. But I also want to make sure that that's the right size, because I'm going to want some stuff around this building. If this is going to be my main storage building and I'm going to build stuff here and here and here, I'm going to want to build a kitchen and a freezer typically, and a butcher and all that stuff kind of around it, so it's all pretty easy access. This is eventually just going to store, it's going to have nothing to do with food. It's just going to be construction materials and materials that are going to be sold. And depending on, let's see, is that centered? I don't think that's centered, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that is centered. So I'd probably put like the double doors kind of like that coming off each side. This is going to be future expansion of buildings here in a second. So I'm just trying to plan on how I want to work buildings around this to where people can easily access the storage building and it look aesthetically pleasing in my opinion and be efficient. So we'll probably put path like that. And all my builds, after all the hours I've played, all the builds are always different typically, just based on where you spawn and where you end up building. We're building here, we got to keep in mind that this is going to be our growing area, which you can see on that. It's pretty much, that's why I like to do it too, because I know that that's where my growing area is all in the green. It doesn't seep out. So this is going to be a basic storage area. So what I'm going to want to test right now is, you'll see me putting plans down. It might look a little messy, but I'm just testing to see how my storage shelves are going to look and which way is the most efficient to run them. So if I run them, and let's say this is a back wall, and I alternate, I'm going to maybe want to, maybe want to leave a space in the middle, and I want them to kind of look even. So storage shelves take up 2 spots. And in the middle, I could maybe put some lights here or something, which is going to be nice. And you're going to want space in between each storage shelf. So this is just like saying, okay, I'm going to build a storage area. Where are my storage shelves going to go? And where are people going to walk? So I'm going to do this. I think this is the direction I would go. And this is going to leave this open. Because it's right in the middle, and it's going to leave this open so people can run through pretty nicely, get to the stuff, and there should be enough storage for the start of the game. Until we expand, we might, and then this will be like, oh, this is the steel and wood storage, and this is over here, and that's how kind of you'll see the game will expand like that. But for now, that's how we'll do it. We'll end up making this our all our storage things. This outer thing will be the wall, which I'm just going to go ahead and knock that out right now. I'm going to go ahead and make everything of wood in the early game. So wood wall right here. And we'll just finish off these little blank areas. This will polish it up, or we'll change it later. It doesn't really matter. We're going to want these doors here. And yeah, it looks a little weird right now. Once you get used to playing it, you'll get used to seeing this. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to the furniture tab over here, which you probably can't see. You might be able to see a little bit of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and select this thing called a shelf. It's the 2 shelf next to the animal bed. And I'm going to place those in my area where, and this is why doing the planning is nice, because you can just come back here and you know everything works before you build it. Like as soon as you build it, you don't have to move it, you don't have to reconstruct it and do all that kind of stuff. So now we got storage shelves in there, right? And if you want to rotate furniture, let's see, I could rotate these bottom ones here, I guess, to go upward. So what I can do to make it just look a little nicer, cancel, you can cancel things like that. You see it hovers over and cancels it when we're in the furniture section. Go over here, it's a little easier to see out here, and I can press E or Q to rotate it. If I want it facing everything to face centered towards there, maybe look a little nicer, I can do this, and you see now it's sitting on the wall, and they're all facing to where like people would approach it from the center. And that's just little extra things you can do or not do. It doesn't matter. They can still grab the storage if they want to. And for the floor, we do know we have some marble over here that we're going to eventually get. But for now, since wood is really easy to use, we're going to use wood because it's easy to build, and we're trying to build up these skills because they're 0 and a 1. Even though you typically use this person that's a 4, like I said earlier, I need them to grow. So we're just going to go ahead and use them and build up their skill in the early game when it's not going to like impact you a ton. So now that I've got this planned, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the floors down. Like I said, we'll do wooden floors in here, and it'll affect the walk speed, and it'll also look better. But remember, wood can burn, so we're gonna do that. And then now that I've placed my materials down, I'm gonna go back to this order and remove these plans, and you'll see it looks a lot clearer. It still looks a little messy, but you could still see like, okay, I've got walls here, I've got my storage shelves here, and then it's going to put a roof over it and everything like that. And if I remember correctly, the roof should hold. If it doesn't hold, then we're going to probably put like some random columns here. So I really don't know how I'm going to do that yet. So we'll see the 12 if the 12 by 12 works, then we'll know like, okay, we can do that. I think that's as big as you can go. I think a 13 by 13 you need a column. I'm pretty sure. So we'll see if the 12 by 12 is the biggest you can go without support. Now that we've built, not built yet, but now that we've made our materials with our structure tab, making our wooden wall, using our floors, making our wooden floors, and using the furniture to make the wooden shelves, we can honestly, we can go ahead and add some wall torches as well. But I think early on, I have the capability to do electricity, which is better than the torches. The only thing is these take steel. So that's the one thing. It's like you're going to want to make sure you have some steel. This is a steel pocket right here. So we know we have some, at least. That's a structure. That's for sure a structure. You see how it says marble wall and it's smooth looking compared to this. So that's going to be hollowed out and potentially have a room in there, and who knows what's in there. Remember how we said granite is something that we're going to want for our exterior walls and stuff? It looks like we're going to have plenty of granite in here. You don't know what's on the interior of these yet until you start mining into it. So I mean, you could have granite right here and you could have marble like right here. But you know for a fact that that's granite and that's marble on the outside. You know that this is going to be some steel. Compacted steel is just going to be steel. It's just going to be, geez, I lost myself on the map. It's just going to end up being this material right here, steel. This compacted machinery is going to end up being a component, which are very important. So this rust colored, bronze colored one, and this peach colored, I don't know that what you call it, like that color right there, those are going to be important for sure. Then your marble, you're going to want to use that for art. Typically you could use it for walls, your building walls and stuff like that. But as far as if you want an exterior wall, like a fortification base wall, granite is going to be your best bet. So that's why we got plenty of granite. We got some more compact machinery over here. We got some jade, which is nice to see. I believe this is going to be some silver. Yep. And limestone, probably. Limestone, a little limestone we can get. And then you got some more floors. I don't remember what this is. This could be limestone tile. Oh, sandstone tile says it right there. Some more compact machinery. And compact steel. All this stuff's obviously, you're going to want to mine that stuff later on at specific intervals when you need it. But right now we're not worried about this stuff. That's just going over kind of the material layout, what's going to happen. So what's great about this is they're going to build this structure and these shelves, and most of these materials are going to be right here to place. There's some other stuff, steel slag. That stuff is going. We are going to want to put that in like a dump situation, which typically I'll maybe put it outside of where I think like the main compound is going to be. Since I'm doing this, I'll say the main compound is going to be probably here and here. So I'll put the dump over here for now until we get stones and specific stone cutting stuff. Sorry. Who? Throat is sore after talking for this long. So I'm going to stop talking and let you guys watch for a second. And this is at 3 speed. And this is at 1 speed. You're going to see a lot of construction botched because these two are learning pretty much how to use a hammer and a nail. But it's a good learning experience for them this early on. And the reason I focus on getting storage done first is because that's storage and growing. It's because growing takes days to grow, which you want to start as early as possible. And storage, things deteriorate over certain days, so you want to get that up as soon as possible. These people can sleep outside for days and not be bothered. And they can eat these meals for days and not be bothered. But getting this storage up is going to be like the important thing. I'm losing my throat. I'm going to have to probably call it here in about 20 minutes and make it a 3-hour stream tutorial on RimWorld of how to get started and continue this another day this week. Because this has been a long stream. There's been a lot of good information at the start of this to get people started in the early game. You can see this is the first day. We haven't even done anything. This is 0 days since the arrival, so they're about to sleep for their first time. And it being day 0, it being like the first night, they could sleep outside. I'm not worried about it. But the great thing is we already got crops started, and we already got most of our storage building built. And we got these 2 dinguses training to get better at construction so we can have more construction. So they're just going to sleep outside. We're just going to let it run on 3 speed. We have the resources we need right now. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I don't want that. Okay, yeah, okay, that is right. So some of these I'll drop down, some of them I won't, because they'll have different materials in them depending on the importance. But I'll definitely recommend using this version, which is having this checked on. I think by default it looks like this, which just shows the things. But if you click this down here, it's the middle and the top. Categorizes things for you so you can really just clean up and look at what you need. So this is going nice. This will be roofed here in a second, and it'll take them 2 days to get their crop started and their storage done, which is really like your main thing, because then your stuff's not deteriorating away. And your crops are growing, your cotton, potatoes, corn, and we'll have strawberry over here. And then, like I said, when Teddy gets to that level 8 in skill, we'll be able to grow heel root. But we have the essentials growing right now. The rice is going to be quicker, less nutritious. The corn is going to take longer and be more nutritious. But eventually we will be hunting some of this wildlife here. Once we get a little more set up. And we're going to add a kitchen and stuff like that, but we don't need that yet. I'm just going to wait till they do this. I know I could do a little bit of planning while they're working on that. I could sit here and say, okay, I want a freezer. for sure want a freezer, right? And say, okay, let's make this a freezer. Let's put a let's put a like a door here so that the cold air doesn't constantly change from cold to hot. So you have like a freezer door, like a little vacuum seal type situation. So what we'll do is we'll go here under structure. We want to make sure that things are going to be wood. I don't know why it's not letting me select wood, but usually you can select wood and stuff like that when you even when you don't have it. But since we don't have wood, it'll be a good time to get some people to chop some. So I selected that chop wood. I'm just going to select pretty much this whole area right here. And I'm going to go under here to work. And since they're kind of done with their construction for now, I'm just going to go ahead and cut them off completely. Just screw them. I don't have to. You can put it to 4 and they won't do it. But I'm going to have them chop some wood for me, which is going to be plant cut, which they also tend to suck at, it looks like. So instead, we're going to have them do that. We're not going to have them hunt. We'll have them haul, maybe. And then they'll be a little bit more effective. But for the sake of doing this quick, and it doesn't matter if they're a low level early on, I'd like to train them to get them trained so they'll do it better later on. We're just going to go ahead and have them both plant cut while this person grows. Once they're done growing, it looks like they'll do some construction, which they're good at. And they'll get that done pretty quick. It looks like they're actually done growing. Because where's Teddy the pimp? Teddy is already on that construction. So if you even just want him to not even think about it and continue doing that, you can do that. Doesn't matter. He was already doing it anyway. But you always want to manually kind of adjust this as you go. And you can change your speed. So when they have a little question mark over their head, it means they can trade with you. What you want to do is you want to try to find the person with the best social skill. So right now it's looking like it's going to be Nicole has a 9. We're going to make sure Nicole is selected. We're going to right click and we're going to say trade with this individual. Now, usually they just offer basic stuff that you don't need, or that I feel like I'm not going to need. As you see, I'm not going to really need any of this. I don't want to sell anything that I have. I don't need to buy their joints. I don't need to sell my pants or anything like that. I could buy a parka, but we only have 800 gold immediately. So I usually just cancel this first trade and continue about my business. First person that comes by is usually just going to trade you those basic necessities like the pemmican and stuff like that. It'll tell you need all these things, your resources, your recreation, all that stuff. And we do, but I'm going to wait till they finish this first. Because this is the important stuff. And look at this. It's only been 2 days and they've slept outside. They will get angry, and you see they have moods and all this stuff. Disturbed sleep, uncomfortable, darkness, slept outside. But that stuff, they're still at 47%. They have break thresholds and all that stuff. That stuff will change by the time we get them in their own little rooms, which we actually need to start doing. So we can slow down the speed. We can slow down the speed to a 1 here. And we can start building our walls that we want for our freezer. I think this should be plenty of space for our freezer for now. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I want wooden doors. I want one door here, and then here and here. That'll create a nice little air chamber in there, or whatever you'd want to call it. And then same thing, we're going to put some shelves in here. Now, I think I am just going to run shelves like this. No, I don't think that's best. This is a pretty small area, so we may even want to expand it. No, honestly, it's fine for now. It's fine for now. We'll continue on with this. Because you'll see I'll expand this later on out here or something like that. I just won't build anything here. But for now, it'll be a good enough area to put the frozen meats and stuff like that. So we want our doors like that. We'll go ahead and I think this actually makes more sense because of how we want to lay out our shelves. And this is a small storage area by comparison of what it could be. But these shelves kind of make the space a little extra nice. They add a lot more area. So you'll see I like making these paths. And I like making these floors because they look clean and they walk a little quicker through here. And this, I can continue that on. And you see this kind of, it's building up. This is a storage area. This is going to be a freezer, which we do actually need a cooling element in here. So knowing the fact that this is a pathway, I don't want heat blowing right into people's faces. And knowing for sure that like this freezer is going to get larger and it's going to expand in this direction in the future. We can go ahead and put this on this side, and then when we move it, we'll move it over here, we'll move it later on. It doesn't matter, it'll be fine. So we'll go ahead and, I like to have redundancies in my freezer. I think one would be enough to get it down to freezing temperature, but I usually go with two. And location, I'm trying to think of where I'll put them. Since this will expand this way, we'll probably leave this open, and we could put some generators right here. So I'll put these two right here. Make sure that the blue is facing inside. See how there's a blue and the red, and then we're placing it on a wall. It has to be placed on a wall. It doesn't even have to be a constructed wall, as you can see. Well, it doesn't have to be a wall, I guess, but that's where you're going to want to place it, is in the wall there. That's how it's going to work. And obviously with your air conditioning unit, you're going to need something to power that. For power right now, what we're going to use is we're going to use these wood-fired generators. I'm just going to place one. You could place one right here. You'll just have to move it later, but that's fine because honestly, we won't be using the generators like this later on. So I'm just going to place one here, and place one here. We'll have two generators. That should be more than enough to power our little area and what we're going to need as far as temperature management and everything to get us through the what is it called, the beginning game, the start of the game, the early game. And once you have more resources and stuff, then I will literally probably tear this stuff down, build it out of marble, change it. It just depends on where it goes. But this, you could run this the whole game and be fine. This setup will get you through the whole game. Now on this side, I think I'm going to do something too. I'm going to go ahead and make this two small rooms. You're like, those are small. Yeah, they're small. They're not necessary to be ridiculous at this point, because what they're going to be is, where is it? Production. It's going to be a butcher table, and then we'll have an electric stove. So this is where they're going to cook the food. This is where they're going to store the food. It'll make sense. It'll move right here. It's really close, really easy. and then they'll eat it somewhere over here, probably. Is where we're thinking, since that'll be the nearest area. Now, what I wouldn't mind having is just a little path coming up through here, possibly. Okay, that does connect through here, but we'll just put a path through here. And paths don't have to be 2 wide, 3 wide. They could be any wide, 1, 2, 3, whatever. I'm just going to make that a 1 wide path, and it might even expand to a 3 wide or a 2 wide. But either way, I wouldn't mind having that. So we got a gift from these people. This is plasteel. We'll have them haul that. This will have a roof over it in a second. It doesn't have a roof over it right now, you could see, because we clicked that roof toggle button. But if you want a roof to be built, which is important, you go to your zone tab. You go to build roof area. I'm just going to outline this at the walls. And now, as you see Teddy doing, that is roof being built. He is now enclosing this room. You can still see it says outdoors. When we're clicked on this, it says outdoors. Well, outdoors, that means stuff could be deteriorating. It's like, yes, it can be. Things like this also will eventually be in a freezer. There's on speed 3, get it sped up a little. Okay, so roof didn't cave in. If it's too big of a room, the roof will start caving in, and you'll see pieces of the roof on the ground. So now we have a nice 12 by 12 room. Don't have to have any columns in it. It's great because you'll see later on we'll have something called trade beacons, and we could maybe put one like right here, and it would get a majority of this room, and we could trade it without going anywhere. We could trade it from our base. That's way later in the game. A mad rat. So this is going to be our first enemy style situation. Got a mad rat. We got 2 people up close in the draft. We're gonna have to build some security, but until then, shoot, shoot, shoot. Killed the rat. Okay, so these 2 luckily were close enough to kill the rat pretty immediately. We'll go ahead and allow that, and then we'll undraft them so they can get back to their tasks that they were doing. If you don't undraft them, they'll stand there for a moment. I don't know, it could be a few minutes depending on your speed, and then and settings and stuff, and then they'll continue back to their work, but they will stand there for a moment. So as you see, we got these generators. They haven't been built yet. We got some electric stuff that is built. It makes us realize that we're definitely going to need some conduit running through there. So we could use hidden conduit is a little more expensive. Waterproof conduit is the most expensive. Power conduit is just fine and regular. What we will do, I like doing, is run it through the wall like that, because it makes it actually kind of more invisible. And we will run it through the wall like this, and it'll reach farther, and we can even go here. We don't need to waste extra. We can even run it to here and it will still reach, but I think there is sufficient enough. I always do more, and it'll be fine. These will automatically connect because they're next to each other, and they'll automatically connect. In fact, I need this to blow out and not block that, so we'll put these 2 here. So these will connect to that the air conditioning units that are right here. That's going to freeze our cooler. And we could go ahead and start changing one of these. We'll do a clear all. We'll make it important. Won't allow rotten, and this will be all foods. And we could make it, we could put animal corpses in there potentially too. If they're small enough, they might go on the shelves. We're going to pause it, do that. And Yeah, so I think this actually does cover the raw meats and stuff. Good. So yeah, we'll just do fresh and then all the foods. And then I'm going to allow animal corpses to be stored in here too. Because if they can store like small animals, I think they'll put them on here in the freezer and they'll last longer till the butcher can get to them. Speaking, okay, so this was this, right? So we did that. We set it to important because we want to make sure that stuff gets into there. But one other thing we want to do is we want to come over to here and we want to just use this copy setting. We want to do you can select them all. I think you can even just do that and just do paste setting. Now all of these will have that set up really good. And you'll do that eventually with this stuff. But since this is our main storage, we're just going to keep it as is for now. And then we'll put a dump over here in a little bit. But to start off with, I think these are the best like priorities for sure to get done. And then after you get these, you'll see we'll go ahead and speed it up. I'll run this slightly over 3 hours so I can get us to the bunker, or not bunker part. Jeez, I'm going crazy here. Just get us to having it like a bunk room, a room where everyone can sleep in. And then this is how I'd say, if you start here with all of these tasks, you can pretty much do anything, and you want to make sure you get some research going. Well, this is a good start until you get to research. We'll randomize this. We'll be the Southwest. No, we'll be the Republic Nonpartisan. We'll be the World Compact of Melania. No, I don't know. We'll be Thedo instead. It will be in Aerodel. Okay, cool. That doesn't matter. What matters is we're getting this stuff built. Like I said, I'll go ahead and I'll get us to the research bench part and explain that, and then I'll do the rest another day this week. But if you watch this whole over 3 hour stream, you will be able to start this game and play it and be pretty much effective up until this point, and have a decent set of characters and a good idea to actually have a successful game if you continue on the path that I'm talking about. As you see, nothing has power right now. We're building this stuff. As soon as these get built, they have to actually get fueled with wood because they're wood generators. But we're building the important stuff. We got the butcher table, which doesn't have to be steel. This could be wood. It really doesn't matter. We just used steel because it didn't matter, and that's what we had selected. And we're going to have the electric stove, and I have the redundancy of the 2 coolers in case one of them breaks. This small space could probably just use 1, but we're doing 2. And then we have this kind of airlock situation where when you come in, this door will shut before this door opens, and you won't be having any like heat exchange there. This isn't really 100% necessary, I've noticed, especially on really well frozen freezers. But if you're on a budget and you have a small space and let's say you're using one of these, you actually might see an effect from that. So it's cheaper than buying another one of these, another cooler. So right now we're just gonna go boom, 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 and I'll just put it at 16 degrees. Boom, 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 3 times on the minus 18. You're at 16 degrees. That is well below freezing. This is now where they're, since we made all these storage things important, they're just going to naturally move them over here from here. And you'll see like the small rat. That's now fresh, frozen rat meat. Yes, sir. That can be eaten at a later date. And we can butcher it and we can cook it. We can do all that. One guy's idle, but we have a raid. What the hell is Teddy Pendergrass doing over here? Oh yeah, we have him doing nothing. So what he's gonna do? I'll have him mine some stuff eventually. Just have him mine some of that steel because we'll use that for sure. Where are we at on wood? This is where I like having this menu. Because you don't have to have it open all the time. You could be like, okay, how much wood do I have? How much... I'll put it here in the middle of this rock so it's easy. So it's easy to see. 692 wood, great stock of wood right now. 616 on steel, 800 silver, and 7 plus steel from that donation. We have enough medicine, which I think as long as that stuff, this medicine is under here, it's fine. And you can actually make these more specific so they're not two different things sitting on the same shelf. But we already got some berries in here, and they're or rice actually, my bad, rice, and it's already fresh and frozen. Because we have this little cooler set up. So we got the cooler, we got these. I actually like putting, take this chair. See how the chair's spun around right now? We'll take it, spin it around so where you will sit there, and we will also make some nice wooden floors here. To continue on with that, we'll light the place up too. I mean, this is more than enough. As you see, we're outputting 1,000 each. We have an excess of 1,400 because these only take what, 220. I don't know what the difference is there, but psychic soothe, good. Let's see where these guys are. It's one idiot with a club. So since it's an idiot with a club and I am 3 idiots with 2 guns and a knife, I'm going to go over here, get close to them, and set up some sort of position. I paused it. I'm going to take Teddy. Teddy's going to be on the front lines. Nicole, she's going to be behind that tree. Rice, he's going to be behind this tree. They'll probably attempt to go to them and where these people will shoot. That's what we're hoping. That's what we're going to look for as a result. We'll see how it plays out. Okay. So since she has this range, and you can actually see they have different ranges. If you hover over their weapon, they have different ranges. That guy's got no range because they're close. But you can clearly see the revolver ends right there before Fitzy. However, Nicole with this rifle can easily reach them. So they're going to be the first to take the first shot because they're in range. They're melee, whatever people call it. So they can't do anything. Now we wait. Now they're ripped. Looks like they're moving over here. I don't want Teddy to get shot by Rice. So we're going to move him back behind this tree. Done. They're dead. We didn't get attacked. We didn't have some unannounced crazy person come into our compound with a club. Once we knock them down, we want to immediately pause it and click them and say, hey, do we want to take this person as a hostage? Because that's how you recruit people. They're lazy. That's okay. They're great with animals. So what we don't have is we don't have a jail cell to put them in, and I can explain that too. So right now they're great with animals, great with plants, medical. Man, I kind of want this person. So wanting to keep them alive and wanting to capture them, let's go ahead and look at their health and see how quick they're going to die. They got shot in the torso with the bolt-action rifle. Thanks, Nicole. They got shot with the revolver. Rice is putting in the frickin' work over here. Holy crap. Rice was like, oh, I got you. And I mean, but look at him. Rice is a pretty stellar shooter at 14 with double flames. Nicole's not bad either, but Rice puts out the dirty work for sure. So we got Rice over here tearing things up in the health department. Right leg got hit, pelvis got hit, right tibia got hit, torso got hit, left lung is destroyed. Their left lung is destroyed. A body part is entirely missing. So you can get information too on that, a gunshot wound. But yeah, body part entirely missing. So they're missing lung, and over here, they're in extreme pain. Their consciousness is going to be affected. Their moving is affected. This person right here is in bad shape. By the looks of it, their breathing is already poor. But since we went ahead and looked at their bio and we're like, oh, they're actually pretty good, we're going to try to save them. I know that sounds crazy, but what we're going to do is, luckily we have wood. A little bit outside of our base, right? We're just going to put it right here. And this is going to be a small room, big enough, and this is, you can make it more secure later on, like you can do double doors because you'll have people escape, but I've done these jail cells thousands of times and it works out perfectly. So all you do is you just make a little room, and this is even bigger than some I've made. I've been real friendly with people and been like, oh yeah, welcome to prison. So we can even do that, and we can come in here. We got to find him a bed. Like it tells you it's been a while. You can even give him a sleeping spot. We give him a bed. We'll zoom in here. We'll give him a bed. We'll give them, we don't even need to give them a chair and a table. We're just being nice. Where is it? Am I missing something? Oh, there it is. I was like, there used to be a smaller table. We're going to give them a chair, a table, and a bed. Now, I've made them smaller than this. I know because I have never been able to fit a bed and table and chair like that. And so so they're not in the dark. You gotta press. So if you're like, oh, it won't go on that wall on the right, you gotta press like E or Q and rotate it to where the torch will sit on that wall. So one light, bed, chair, table. Hey, kitty cat. Hey, baby. And wooden floor. Call it a day. Now, what we need to do is we need to make sure our best construction worker is on the task, because we want this built really quickly. Otherwise, this person might die. Also, you can go ahead and set your bed. You can't set it yet. You have to wait till it's built. You'll see that in a second. This person is going to die unless we save them. So, there's nothing these two individuals can do right now except continue their task. Plant cutting, hauling things, and you're going to do construction. If this person dies, oh well, then we lose the opportunity to recruit them. They weren't the best anyways. It's fine. You'll find more people recruiting. Now you see I unpaused it. They're standing still. It's because I still have them drafted. Got to make sure you undraft your people, and once you do that, you see, okay, they're going to go ahead and do tasks that they were set to do. I had them haul because they'll immediately go start hauling this stuff, and I had Teddy do construction. So they're going to grab some wood and they're going to start constructing our jail to where we can warden and potentially recruit this individual that just attacked us. And that's only after looking at their bio and saying, okay, are they worth having? Can we save them? They might die. They might die. They don't have a lung and they have a lot of problems. They're already slow moving too. But we can have them grow stuff or haul stuff. They're still useful. So he's building our jail. Now that you hear him start building, now that we're out of that combat situation, this person is still. Wait, are they still alive? Or are they dead? It says they're downed. You can see that. So when they're downed, you'll see this little exclamation mark pop up. But we can double our speed. We can at least do 2 speed to get this looking a little quicker. Or we can even go 3 speed. Let Teddy the pimp do his work. And if he stops constructing, I can, and they're hauling materials. That's another thing. If you set them to haul, they'll bring all the building material over here. And she's going to plant cut. Or he or whoever. I don't even know their genders personally. But they're going to plant cut and get that out of the way. Then I could set them all to construct. Do that. Even get it done quicker. Even if they botch it because they suck, it's still going to go by quicker. This person might die. Doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? Because the next time people attack, we will have our jail built at that point. And we'll be able to capture and use them. And we'll probably have 2 at that point too. But right now, the main thing that I like to do to get started is to get the storage, the freezer for your food, the kitchen, and the butcher table with the power. Once you get that started, you see our people are still going to be okay. Are they dead yet? They're dead. They've been dead for less than a day. You see they'll have an X on them because you don't want to allow them, and it says dead. So sometimes you can get your jail built in time, sometimes you can't. Just depends. Doesn't matter. Still going to build it. And what we'll do is, this person died, we'll allow them, and we will go to the architect tab. And in one of these, I can't remember, I think it's miscellaneous, you'll have a grave. And this is, we'll probably have a wall in the future. We'll probably wall out a space here for our main compound. And I'll put this outside of the wall typically. So we'll just pop a grave somewhere over here. We'll rotate it and we'll just pick a corner and we'll pop, maybe, we'll just get them started on a couple graves. Teddy as a construction person and these people with the construction will do that. Then we'll have them haul them and put them in the grave. So you don't have dead bodies sitting everywhere, because believe it or not, these people will walk by. My cat's so cute, she's looking at me. People will walk by the dead body and be like put off by it. This is built, it's fine. I'm not even going to do any temperature management in here. Once your prison is built, you need to go to your bed, click your bed, and this is the only way you're going to get prisoners to have a place for them, is you got to go click the prisoners. And what I like to do is, because a lot of your prisoners will be prisoners after your fights, what I like to do is click medical. Now I have, this works as a medical bed and a prison bed. So you can have prisoners in here and you can take care of them, and which you'll want to do because you'll want to get them back to health. And if they have good bios, you'll want to recruit them via the social tab if they're not dead. Can't socialize with a dead person. Okay. So that's what's going to happen if you get attacked. You get attacked. You can handle it pretty easily. You get some coverage, get some good angles, set up good tactical position, put them in position, take the fight. Now, it gets different in the late game. You'll see how that goes later on. We're not going to get too in depth with that. You'll have security. You'll see we still need recreation and colonist beds. We're going to go ahead and finish those before we jump off the stream, because we want to make sure that we get the basics done. So horseshoes, we can have them play horseshoes from anywhere, and we can put it almost anywhere. Since we're going to expand the kitchen out here later, or the freezer out here later, and we're not going to do anything with it now, we're just going to go ahead and pop down a horseshoes thing right there. that you can find under the architect and recreation. That'll give us recreation. Now they want a room to sleep in with beds. It's nice to give them their own rooms. It's nice to make sure they're all kind of roughly the same size. And they have enough space to do what they need to do. That's going to be too small based on where that path is. So we're not going to put any of their houses there. We're going to actually end up putting them right. If this is a 5x4 area, then that's okay. Okay, let's start from here. This is a good way to plan. You can start from here and say, okay, 16, 16, 16. Because what we're going to do is actually, we want, I lied. We want a 5x5. And you'll see why in a second. It's because of how the things work. Because you want to do a double bed, a dresser, and a bedside table to maximize what they get. Now, I hate doing this, but I might run it and make it a 5x5. I think I'm going to make it a 5x5 because this is going to be expanded later. So we'll do that. We'll do that and it'll jut out here, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. That'll be our... We'll include this wall in a second. So we'll make a 5x5 here. Okay. Yeah, so that was right. And that's going to be where the walls go. This will expand out earlier, so that'll actually end up looking fine later on. It won't be weird. We can even just add an extra wall overlap to just even clean it up some. So I want to do a 5x5 there. A 5x5 there. And I can't do one there. So I'm just going to go ahead and say... Put one there. And put the walls like this. So we know that's a good enough, plenty of space right there. Okay, so now we have hollowed out 5x5, three buildings, each with a 5x5 interior space. So it's like it's a 7 by 7 or what, you know, whatever each individual room, whatever makes an interior 5x5. That's why I like doing those plannings, so you can just get a 5x5 square in there and do it that way. Okay, so we're gonna do it like this. I'm gonna build these, and now everyone is centrally located. They have a large enough room to have all the best room features to have like the optimal room situation, and they're all close to here. Since this is kind of just a random area, you know what, this is such a random little area. I don't like it. That'll be, we'll end up putting solar panels there later on, I feel like. Yeah, there's no point in trying to make any like rooms there. I think the rest of the stuff that we'll do that, and we'll extend. So you don't have to walk all the way around there. It's like a weird scenario with that. So now you'll have that. Obviously, you'll rarely use this unless you're just walking around through here, but you'll have this. That'll be your main walkthrough. Then you'll have this walkthrough to here. Eventually, it'll connect to something else over here. But these will be the rooms. And now what we'll do is we want to just go ahead and do a double bed. It takes 85 wood. We have plenty of wood. And we will do double beds. What I like to do is I'll just put them across from the door like that. Like that. It doesn't matter how they go. It just matters that you have 1 and 2 on each side, and you're about to see why that is. Because this gives you maximum sleep buff. Put your end table. Take your wooden end table. Put it on that little 1 slot. You can rotate it however it looks. Then you're going to want to take your dresser. Put it next to the bed on that other side. Now, let's look at those items. A small bedside table, which makes nearby beds a little more comfortable, must be placed directly adjacent to the head of the bed. Wooden dresser. Small comfort bonus to all nearby beds. Placing more than 1 dresser near the same bed has no effect. So this is why you want to make your rooms like this. Just go ahead early on. Wood costs nothing. It's easy to make. You want to do bed, dresser, and end table. Now to add a little extra flair, what you could do is you could do a plant pot, which will make the mood, and then you can add a statue in here later. But as far as the basics are concerned, you can just do that. Pop a wall torch in there. And these people will have sufficient rooms. And now what they're going to do is they're going to go construct all this stuff. And they're going to get better at constructing. They'll get the wood. We got a prison. We got our storage. And as you see, this has been 6 days. And they're still fine. We haven't built a research bench yet. But that's okay. That's going to be the very next thing we build. Very next thing. This was going to be a 3-hour tutorial / stream. It has become a 3.5 to 4 hour tutorial stream, which is okay. It gets all the basics done. You'll be able to watch all the basics in one video, and then if you want to learn more, you can watch further stuff. If you don't, you can, everything you'll need is in this one video, and you can even skip through steps. If you think you get it, you can follow along and you can find different areas. So this is going to be the one-stop shop for the early game and trying to at least go through a lot of the basic things that I think that are going to improve the game for you at the start if you're new. Now remember, we have this recreation still that's going to happen, and colonist beds are also being built. So these 2 notifications are going to be gone. We already got 1 bed. It's still outside. It's fine. The weather's fine. You're in spring for the first session, which lasts 15 days. We already have a relationship with one of these caravan individuals. Like I was saying earlier, you'll see some people have relationships with people. Apparently we're a relationship with the slaver here. It'll tell you, and it'll say, hey, that's the stepmother of Teddy. Remember Teddy up here? So Town Guard Pixie is in this group, is the stepmother of Teddy. So you can actually look and say, this individual right here is related to Teddy, and you can even see that in their social. You can say, okay, their stepson is Eric Teddy Smith, and they're neutral. They don't like each other. They don't hate each other, but so we don't have anything going on here. But as you'll see, that doesn't really affect anything. This group is just passing by. You actually don't interact with Pixie. You'll interact with Tony. And in fact, I wish something they would do is make it to where Teddy, like, they could talk and stuff like that. But like, even if you click Teddy, like, you can't really interact with Pixie at all. So we're gonna go with our best social person again. We missed that part. And we're going to go to the person with the question mark. You see, out of all these people, only one person has that yellow question mark, which is the town trader. You're going to take our person that has best social skills. You're going to right click on them and you're going to trade with them. They're a slaver, so they're going to be selling people. I typically don't buy slaves because it's just a waste of money, and get your people for free. You know, you just capture them. So none of this stuff I'm really interested in, but just to show you what they kind of have to offer since they are slavers. What you're going to want to do if you do want to buy slaves is you're going to want to look at their price, and you're going to want to look at their bios to see if you think they're worth that price and you think they're going to fit in with your people. You know, if they have any health issues, their stats, what they bring to the table, if they're going to not care, if they can't haul, if you need someone to haul, blah, blah, all that stuff. You'll just want to click on that information icon to look into that. And we don't want to sell our iguana for $68. I'm sorry. And we don't want to buy your cracked out tea either, or your drugs. So we're just going to go and cancel. We're going to let them. They'll hang out, walk around, they'll talk and be like, oh, this place is pretty cool. For being here for for being here for a week, you guys are pretty good. You're going to have like 3 awesome bedrooms individually. So what I used to do when I first started the game is I would just have like a big room with crap thrown in it, and like single beds, these single beds thrown in there. But then I realized, like, it's just easy to make this stuff off the rip, and I run this stuff to the late game. You can run this setup to the late game. You'll only have to maybe add more storage, expand your freezer. So room for freezer expansion, which is something you think about when you're planning it, which is nice. You can do that. It'll make it easier. Or you could build a new one. Doesn't matter. You could build anywhere, anything, anytime. But having everything centrally located is just going to make things easier when you have your colony all around here. Storage expansion could go into here, as you can see. You could even chop this out and it could go into there. That's if you want one large crazy storage unit. What I'll do is this will be steel and wood. Then I'll have stone and separate stuff over here next to a stone smith. I'll have leather next to my textile, next to my I'll have all the textiles next to the tailoring bench, and stuff like that. So like later on it'll be a lot more organized, but at the start, as you see, 7 days, and which is about 30 minutes in game of maybe 3 speed. We've got full growth of strawberry rice, potato, cotton, and corn. We've got a jail, which we can capture and heal people. I think hopefully we buried the person we killed. We did. We don't have security yet. We'll have recreation. We'll have optimal living conditions, which will be the bed, the dresser, and the end table. Yes, they're awful and poor, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They could be replaced later. To be early game, to have this, it's pretty nice. And then the next major thing we add once these things get built is we're going to add a research room. Then everything else after that is up to the order that you want to put it in. But this will give you the ability to survive in the game. Now, one thing you are going to have to do, you do remember, you have to make sure you change the temperature here like we did earlier to something below freezing, or 32 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. You're gonna need power, so you're gonna need these, and you're gonna need fuel in it, which is wood. So it's plentiful. It's everywhere. You know, it's literally everywhere, which is why we use it early on. Until we do research, you'll see that in just a second. So you'll need to lower the temperature. You'll need to make a freezer with a roof. It's indoors. You make a storage indoors. You need to make a electric stove indoor is what I prefer. And your butcher table can be steel or wood, does not matter. Now, what you are going to have to do is when you click on either of these, you'll see, I'll make it even clearer here. You'll see this thing that says, oh, go to the butcher table. It says bills. You'll want to click on that. And no one, you could be like, oh, where's my food? I have a butcher table. Oh, where's my stuff? My animals aren't dying. My animals aren't getting slaughtered. Well, you're going to have to add a bill. And you're just going to want to do butcher creature or make kibble, which is what you feed animals. Butcher creature is what you're going to want to set. Now, the best thing to do is just say do forever. Don't have to mess with it. You could literally just do, but you can do this, you could do this, you could do options. Go to details, you could change these options as well. Do forever. Electric stove, add our bill. Right now, we're just going to do this or this. Doesn't matter. You do 1 or 4. I like to do 1. Do it until I have X amount. Now here, you can say, oh, X, but in this case, you can do this, remember that. I think it's easier to go here to details. Do until you have, then you can do +10, -10, or you can just 1,000. You could type in any number you want to using your keypad. I'll set it at 100. That's it. That's how you're gonna get your people to cook food and to butcher creatures after you've... See, remember this rat that got killed earlier in combat? That's essentially very similar to hunting. He attacked us, except that's the only difference. When you're hunting, you'll attack the animal. You'll attack the animal, you'll bring it back, you'll butcher it now, and then whoever's cooking does the butchering and the cooking. So you'll see once you assign them to that on that task, they'll be here, they'll do that, and then they'll take the animal skins and they'll put them in storage right here. So that's how that's going to work out. We don't need them doing that right this second. Everyone is doing construction right now. In fact, you have a 1, these two are 1s, one of them was a 0 earlier. In fact, we're going to have one of you haul so they can fill up these things. Remember, we still haven't put light in here. It's fine. We'll be fine for now. Someone's having a fair. See, Hendrix is not in the picture. If you want to read that, you can read it. Teddy's having a fair, but he has a wife somewhere, but they're crash landed, so... But they have double beds, so they're going to sleep together. Long story short. So now we're just going to set it to 3. Watch them build. Now you do want to keep an eye on something. During this process, you'll see we're 6 days in. We have 14 packaged survival meals left, and we have 3 simple meals. Simple meals are going to be made of like a meat and a vegetable. Or a vegetable, I think. Or just one of these items, I think. So yeah, once you get these grown and stored, you can actually go out and hunt, and you can start making good quantities of meals. I think you can also just make meals with just the items that you grow by itself. And then this is the raw food that you have, which the reason you grow strawberries, it's nice to have a level 5 plant person early on. As you see, minimum average relevant skill 6. So it's good to have a 5 early on because they can eat these raw, where these they need to put in a meal. They get better full nutrient setup. Either way, we have someone to set is set in the hall. I think that's Rice. But you can say, oh, Rice, I need you to refill this. Need wood. Okay. So they're hauling that right now. So we need wood. So now that we know that we need wood, we're just going to go and cut you off here on haul. doesn't matter. You don't have to cut them off or anything. But let's let them plant cut. Now they're not the best, so we want wood quicker. These two are similar at this, so what we're gonna do is make you this and make you this, since they're both one at this, and they're a better plant cutter than them. So now we need to give them some plants to cut. So we're gonna tell them to cut plants, but now we need to actually go in here and say chop wood, and you can individually click things, or you can hold left mouse and broadly select with your chop feature, and it's just going to select trees to chop. So eventually we'll cut through this whole area. It'll grow back. Right click to get rid of those things. You can't get rid of these things because they are hugely needed. So once we get these, they'll disappear on their own. But this group will leave also in a second, and that'll probably be when this stuff's done. And then we'll build our research table, and then I'm going to call it a stream here shortly. 3 hours and 40 minutes into this will be a 4-hour stream / lesson on how to start your game in RimWorld. It'll be the longest stream I do, and it'll be the first big tutorial video I do. Excuse me, all the talking. Hey, baby. My kitty. Just watching him build. Honestly, I'm probably just going to go ahead and cut it here at 3:45 in the next few minutes. It's just a long stream. Getting tired, but you get the idea. We get the bedroom built. Next time we'll cover how research works. You'll want to build a room for a simple research bench. That is going to be how you get more advanced stuff, by selecting different research and having one of your individuals research with a high skill is going to make it move quicker. So I think we're going to go and call it there. But if you want to get a good start into RimWorld, say these are the good sets of basics to get you past the first season and into really starting a great game. This will take you to the end game. You don't even have to modify this. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys got something out of this. I'm going to go ahead and we will save it. And we will see you guys next time. Thanks for checking this out.